We request all our young entrepreneurs as well as our visitors to kindly come inside the seminar hall. We are going to start the seminar, the panel discussion session very shortly. So please take your seats. સવારે જે ઉદ્ઘાટન સત્ર યોજવામાં આવ્યું હતું ત્યાં સેમિનાર હોલની અંદર હવે પછીના સેશન શરૂ કરવાના છે. જે પણ મુલાકાતીઓ સ્ટોલ્સની મુલાકાત લઈ રહ્યા છે તેમને ખાસ વિનંતી. સાંજે 6 વાગ્યા સુધી એ ઉપરાંત આવતીકાલે સવારથી 10 વાગ્યાથી અને ફરક 3 દિવસ માટે આ એક્સપો અને સ્ટોલની આપ મુલાકાત લઈ શકો છો. અત્યારે ટૂંક જ સમયમાં આપણે પેનલ ડિસ્કશન સેમિનાર જે છે એ શરૂ કરવાના છે. માટે આપ સૌને તેમાં જોડાવા માટેની વિનંતી.
हेलो 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 भाई कौन है
So it's the first day of our Expo.
आ नीचे ले लो
बेचता पाव है
We had a great number of visitors today also.
ये पकड़ी रखी
Visitors are taking videos in their mobile phones. All of you are requested to kindly upload your videos and share this with your friends and family members so that more members and more people can visit this expo. You can also upload it on your social media platforms. અને પરમ દિવસે 3 દિવસ માટે આ એક્સપો અને 6 p.m. So you may visit the stalls later on also. It's time for seminar on different subjects. So we would suggest kindly come inside and strengthen the knowledge. It's a great opportunity to hear our eminent speakers. आप सभी से अनुरोध करना चाहेंगे कुछ ही देर में हम एक्सपो के साथ जुड़े हुए रिलेटिव सब्जेक्ट्स पर पैनल डिस्कशन का भी आयोजन किया गया है. आप सभी से अनुरोध करना चाहेंगे यहाँ पर पधारें और ये पैनल डिस्कशन में हमारे जो भी सदस्य, हमारे एमिनेंट स्पीकर्स, उनका मार्गदर्शन का आप भी लाभ लें। फरी एक बार आप सौने विनंती करिए छे टूंक ज समय में आपणे आपणो जे स्पेशल पैनल डिस्कशन सेशन है आजनु के जेनी अंदर 4 अलग अलग विषयों पर पैनल डिस्कशन योजावानी है ते शरू करवाना छीए। आपणा आमंत्रण ने मान आपीने एमिनेंट स्पीकर्स जे पेनलिस्ट है तेओ पण अत्रे पधारी चूक्या छे। तो जे पण लोकोने आ अंगे रस होय ते सौने आमंत्रण आपीए छीए सेमिनार हॉल में। हवे टूंक ज समय में आपणे पैनल डिस्कशन शरू करवाना छीए माटे आप सौने पण आग्रहभरी विनंती आप अहींया पधारशो अने आ सेमिनार में जोड़ाशो। एक्जिबिटर्स पण अहींया जोड़ाई शके छे जो एमने अनुकूलता होय तो एक्जिबिटर्स पण आ पैनल डिस्कशन सत्रनो लाभ लई शके छे। It will be more beneficial to them also. So once again, this seminar hall is open for all of you. So we had a great kickstart of this event with the inaugural session this morning, where we had the Honorable Union Minister for Cooperation and Home Affairs, Mr. Amit Bhai Shah, as a chief guest. And also we had the august presence of Honorable Chief Minister of Gujarat, Shri Bhupendra Bhai Patel, as our guest of honor. We also had Mr. Balwant C. Rajput, Honorable Minister for Industries, as our special guests. It was a wonderful kickstart of this expo, and now in a short while we are going to start this seminar, the panel discussion session. Would like to request to kindly occupy your seats as soon as possible. Volunteers, please pay attention and help the guests.
Hello, sound check, check, 1 2 1 2, sound check. Audience one.
So as I announced earlier, we are going to kickstart this panel discussion session in a short while. So ladies and gentlemen, all of you are requested to kindly enter the seminar hall and occupy your seats. कुछ ही देर में हमारा पैनल डिस्कशन सेशन शुरू होने वाला है। यहाँ पर पधारे सभी से हम निवेदन करना चाहेंगे कि आप एग्जीबिशन हॉल से आगे जहाँ पे स्टेज है वहीं पे सेमिनार हॉल है, आप यहाँ पर पधारें और हमारे जो नेक्स्ट सेशन है पैनल डिस्कशन सेशन उसका लाभ लें। સૌ મુલાકાતીઓ કે જે ગેટ 2025 એક્સપોમાં પધાર્યા છો, આપ સૌનું સ્વાગત કરીએ છીએ અને સૌને આગ્રહપૂર્ણ વિનંતી કરીએ છીએ કે જે મુખ્ય મંચ છે તે તરફ પધારશો, કારણ કે ટૂંક જ સમયમાં અતિ મહત્ત્વના વિષય ઉપર આપણે પેનલ ડિસ્કશન શરૂ કરવાના છીએ। All the members, visitors and exhibitors also invited for seminar. So please come inside the seminar hall which is next to the exhibition hall and occupy your seats as we are going to start the panel discussion session. Today we are having 4 different panel discussions on different topics and we have a galaxy of speakers. They will share their views and experiences with us, which will be more beneficial for all of us. So please come inside. As you all know, as the apex body representing Gujarat's trade and industry, GCCI enjoys a distinguished reputation for its influence and engagement with government and industry stakeholders. And GATE 2025 will further amplify its role as the definitive voice of Gujarat's business community, reinforcing their commitment to fostering innovation, growth and opportunity. Yes. Please welcome our eminent panelists on the dais. Ladies and gentlemen, ખૂબ તાળીઓ સાથે આવકારીએ। Ladies and gentlemen, the first session, the first panel discussion session is on powering India's industrial growth with renewable energy, the road to 500 gigawatt. And for that, we have the eminent speakers, Mr. Shobhit Rai, MD and CEO, Prozil Green Energy Limited. Please have a big round of applause for him. Sir, a very warm welcome to you. We also have with us Mr. Manan Thakkar, MD and CEO, Prozil Green Energy Limited. Welcome, sir. And this session will be moderated by Professor Dr. C.A. Sawan Godiawala, ex-partner Deloitte, a very warm welcome to you too. It's time for felicitation to our esteemed guests. I would request Shri Rajesh Ravani, Chairman, Event and Exhibition Task Force, to kindly come upon the stage. Mr. Rajesh Ravani. And felicitate our guests, our panelist, Mr. Shobhit Rai, with a memento. Thank you, sir, for joining us in this panel discussion session. Once again, I would request Mr. Rajesh Ravani to welcome Mr. Manan Thakkar, MD and CEO, Prozil Green Energy Limited, with this memento. And Professor Dr. C.A. Sawan Godiawala, our moderator for this session. We really feel honored to have you all here. So without wasting any time, let's start our panel discussion session. I want some energy from all the participants. Please put your hands together. Thank you. And Honorable Moderator, sir, the stage is yours. Over to you.
I was just waiting for the clock to start. They've done a timer over here, so I was waiting for the timer to start. So thank you for introducing us. Thanks, Rajesh, and very happy to have this the real renewable energy guys on the stage today. And while yes, if somebody goes out right now, they're going to run in the way 43, 44 degrees of Ahmedabad that it is today. There are two guys in the room who will not feel the heat at all. They would want to stay out because their business is capturing all the energy, all the sun that is coming in. And that's the right thing to do, right business thing to do, right environment thing to do that we are. So very happy to be doing this session with the two hardcore technical solar energy executing business people over here. And then I know their background, I know their company, they've been doing something absolutely worthwhile and the way they have positioned themselves. So having said that, the first basic questions, and of course the timer has started. So the first basic question would be, in this journey, India journey, we've seen so much of transition from the fossil fuel to different kinds of energy coming in, and then solar picking up because India probably is blessed with so much of solar energy. So we are the right place to be also maybe. But this 500 gigawatt journey that the Indian government also wants to get on so far as the renewables are concerned, what is your take on how is this journey panning out, whether it is panning out in the direction, in the pace that the government or the industry should be moving, and what is your take on this 600 gigawatt that we should be working on as a country? Yeah, Shobhit, you can start and then Manan can add to this.
So first of all, thank you GCCI for inviting us on this platform. As far as India's mission is concerned for 500 gigawatt to be achieved by 2030, we are already on track. Government has done enough for us to meet this particular target of 500 gigawatt, wherein we already have completed more than 200 gigawatts of installed capacity. We've got still 5 years to go, and on an average, we should be able to do this. And I think for me, it's not about questioning on this 500 gigawatt, but it is more about how much more can we do. Because as we know that the power demand in India is going to grow up to 900 gigawatts by 2030 as we achieve this 500 gigawatt of renewable targets. So it's about, we should be thinking about much more. To achieve these targets, government has already come up with many schemes, which is the biggest one which is going on across the country, which is the PM Kusum Yojana, which is one of the pioneer schemes which the Prime Minister himself has been promoted, which is definitely going to help all the consumers also reducing their cost. Number two is that not only just solar but renewable as a space. If you talk about the wind solar hybrid projects which are happening, which is going to meet the RTC demand. With batteries clubbing in, we would be able to see that most of the consumers are, the government will be able to reduce overall energy mix, because of which ultimately the consumer is going to get benefited out of having the lowest cost of power, which ultimately is going to help India becoming one of the cheapest producers of the goods that manufacturing hubs, I would call it, globally. So with all these things, I believe that 500 gigawatt is just a number, but I believe that how much can we do more? Out of 900 gigawatt requirement that is been forecasted by 2030, if you are able to do maybe 60-70% via renewables with a mix of solar, wind, battery energy storage, we definitely see that the power prices in India could be one of the most competitive ones, which can help India become the global factory going forward.
So 500 gigawatt in terms of capacity, definitely it's possible. India, as Shobhit mentioned. There are few challenges I would highlight how to achieve that. The biggest challenge in this industry is land and evacuation, where government is now coming up with newer ways like ISTS, where anywhere where the land is available in the state, and some states like Gujarat where land is expensive, or Punjab, you can wield power by producing power in any states. So these are one of the new initiatives taken by government, where this 500 gigawatt, how to achieve this 500 gigawatt. Another, you want to have an entire value chain in the sector. So right now module capacity, if you see, we are beyond our capacity what we want to achieve. So 60 gigawatt is required every year to meet 500 gigawatt. Right now almost 70 gigawatt to 80 gigawatt of production lines are already been set up. So that is a good initiative what government has taken, promoting the manufacturing in India. At the same time, I always believe that what China did, its entire value chain of the production, what India should have done 2-3 years back to achieve this target, or even beyond this. So even government has taken a good initiative in the cell manufacture that no import would be allowed post 2026. So such initiatives would be required, which will promote manufacturing, as well as this will help once the infrastructure and entire value chain is there in the country. The target is 500 is also achievable, and beyond that is also achievable.
Good to know that two things that you mentioned. 2026 is going to be quite that it would be indigenous, domestic,
Yes.
that will happen. And then with 50-60%, if it goes to solar renewable, then the costs also. So viability, this some keyword that you were listening from me many times today, this afternoon. But it's very key, because industries also have a math to do when they're doing, especially when the bigger consumers are the industries over here. So relating to that, how does it make strategic sense for the industries to get into or move as much into solar or hybrid renewable energy? Strategic point of view, if I am doing my budgeting, my forecasting, that how would I put that piece? Also, of course, then it has a relation to the sustainability, that as an industry, it's a strategic move to go to and not an enforced move because I want to do some sustainability. So how would be your take? Maybe Manan, you can give some ideas. Shobhit, you can add to that later.
So today, if I see sustainability is not enforced, even any industry or any even household want to do it, there is a good payback for it. So I would say our currency is green, so it's similar. So now green will be a new gold. That's what I say. And the day is not far. Like a UPI, your energy will be traded through UPIs. So presently, if any industry wants to do a wind solar hybrid, they can convert themselves 80% of their power from the thermal power to green power, and at the same time with a good payback. So it's not that because my end customer is asking me to go green, that's why I want to go green. The paybacks are also quite lucrative for them to take this as a strategic call. For the, I would say this is reducing the cost of your product. Rather you see as an enforcement, you see as a competition that your competitor has done this, you have to do it to reduce your cost of your product.
just adding to what Manan said. So if you see today, ultimately, a lot of industries, I mean, especially Gujarat being one of the largest manufacturing hubs in the country, and I need not mention that almost everybody sitting here who has a manufacturing unit must have power as one of the major raw material that they utilize. So the cheapest source of power today would be the renewable power, whether you take it from solar, wind, or hybrid projects. But just one data I would like to share, that what this green energy has done to the industries is recently, just last week, if you see on the IEX, the peak power demand, which is like between 12 to 3 on exchange, green power, GDAM market was traded at 30 paisa per unit. So this is all is happening just because all of us have put up all our efforts to ensure that we are pumping, we are investing into renewable energy, which is ultimately helping the entire nation. So not only the industry, but as a country as a whole, it is important that everybody understands, because viability is not it's a no-brainer. Like if today somebody wants to put up a renewable project with industry paying 9 rupees per unit in Gujarat, or let's say in Maharashtra 10 rupees per unit, the cost of generation with all interest and O&M and other operating costs that you talk about is nothing more than 2.5 rupees on a levelized cost for a 25 to 30 years of life cycle of the project. So viability is not a question, but I think it's about the awareness, which I believe that everyone, at least in Gujarat, has, and it's been widespreading. So it's a no-brainer for any industry to go for renewables as on date.
So I think this is good to know, because most important part is whether I should go. But I would ask a related question, that there would be challenges. There are two challenges that I, as a layman, would think about in your solar space when it's up, even if when it is not any no-brainer to get into this. One is the land, that you will need a lot of land in the first place, and two could be the grid integration. So is that also an ecosystem already in place, whether that grid integration point of view? And when it comes to land, if I want to put up as an industry 5 megawatt, then 5 megawatt would need maybe, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 acres of land, or I don't know how much. But then is that a challenge, and how are we addressing that?
So it's a very valid question, and the industry pain point, as I mentioned. This is when a player like Brazil plays a very critical role. We provide a plug-and-play solution, whether it's solar or wind-solar hybrid. So any industry is into pharma or textile or any sector, they're like, we are not the experts into this. You give us an end-to-end solution. We don't know about the evacuation available at the substation or where the land to buy. So what we do at Prozil is we have a park where we have 50 to 100 megawatt of capacity at a single park, and multiple customers we can allot that particular land to a n number of customers, and they can evacuate the power at the substation. So we are a one-stop solution for the entire end-to-end. At Prozil, we have taken this challenge of an industry as an opportunity, and been doing successfully pan-India, providing a plug-and-play solution.
So, but from the government point of view, the basic thing is this land available? You shop, you buy, or you get it, as a specific land use for solar? Because these are 20, 30, 40-year projects?
Yes, 25.
So these are the land which has to be actually acquired, if I would think about. So is that available, or you try to find that place in the remote places? Otherwise, it will add to the cost of my solar systems, right? The panels, modules that I'm putting. So so my one question, does the land, is it a challenge to get the land? Two is, of course, the grid connectivity has to be there where the land is. And three is, does it increase the cost significantly as a capex when the industries are doing this? So if you can just give a flavor of that, then industry can think that yes, while you made a right point that at Prozil you've done 50 megawatt, and then people can get in that I want the 3 megawatt part or 7 megawatt part of this. That's the ideal thing, but still there would be a land requirement over there, right?
So I would say definitely it's a challenge, but these are the private lands what we aggregate for our industries, and as you mentioned, definitely government should I would say we have proposed to Gujarat government that there are a lot of wasteland that are available. If they can allot that land for doing renewable, that would be really helpful. But presently, it has been sourced through private landowners, and there are
maybe farmers, right?
yeah, and the farmers, yeah.
Yeah.
But there are good initiatives taken by a government which is called DMNA, where you can take a land on lease also for long term of 30 years. So you can reduce on the capex by not investing in the land and still make the project viable and do the project for longer duration. I hope I answered.
I think that makes sense, and it's a no-brainer again that there has to be a grid connectivity. Otherwise, what will you do? So I think that doesn't need to be answered. You do have the land closer, or you might have to create the transmission lines. Is that so also?
So Gujarat government has just announced that wherever your land is, we'll make your substation. So it's a very bold move the Gujarat government has started.
Correct.
Yeah,
So that's what I wanted to, that
yes,
people
yes.
should
It's
know
a
that
good initiative.
there is government working as closely on ensuring that this initiative happens, and thus they would also support in the process. On the cost, you did mention that while it makes sense, the new cost, present module cost, etc., execution cost. But how do companies, optimize cost? I would say PPA, for example. There is, I think, also a wheeling charge or something if they are producing somewhere or generating somewhere and you're consuming somewhere. So open access solar parks that you mentioned, and then the PPA, what is your take on that, and how would you like people to know that how is it making sense for companies to optimize cost through that?
So see, there are, for any investment to be done by any company, so the fastest payback that you get is for doing your own captive if you're able to consume, because you're replacing a 9 rupee power with a 2.5 rupee power. So as far as the optimization is concerned, ultimately, a company like us plays a very, very important role, because it's very simple that you need to get the land along with the combination of connectivity. So land and connectivity has to come in package, which becomes a very difficult task for an industry who is not into a day-to-day job of doing power projects. So we select this particular land and evacuation system in order to ensure that the lowest cost is there. But at the same time, we would also like to highlight that the optimization on the design front is one aspect, but it is also equally important that when you are putting up this investment, it is for a tenure of 25 to 30 years of life of the project. So it should not be looked at only from a cost perspective, because today when there are multiple number of theories that the customers gets, that you will see that the price difference is coming on optimization, which is not an optimization, but it is also about corner cutting. So it's very important for consumers to understand that when they are choosing this, when they decide to put up this particular investment, they need to look at the bankability as well, because bankability is a very, very important aspect when it comes to the life of the entire project, because the equipments that you are buying plus how you are integrating and what is the design optimization that you are doing plays a very, very important role, because this payback that we are talking about, or the levelized cost that we are talking about, is when your assets are performing to the optimal level. So for performing those assets to an optimal level, you need to have that expertise. And choosing the right partner or bankability of, while you choose, looking at the bankability plays a very, very, very important role for any consumer, which should be kept in mind while committing this sort of an investments.
You want to add?
So there are a lot of different models that are now being operated. So there are models like captive, where industry invests on their own. There are models like group captive, where industry has to invest 26% of the equity and still buy the green power. Because there are various private equity funds and various who are supplying power in this group captive model. So many MNCs, they don't want to commit the investment because they are mandated to invest in their own sector and own manufacturing only. So such kind of models are now promoting green energy with group captive as well as captive mode of power.
Yeah, I think so, because the larger industries would have this captive. Coming to an important question is the next wave. What are we seeing? The next wave, naturally, solar is now established, but beyond solar, if we look at it, I was asking informally you the question that now I would have a rooftop solar, but how do I store that energy? So beyond solar, just as generations, one storage, and then of course beyond storage or a diversified energy, which is green hydrogen. So everybody I'm sure would be keen to know that what is happening when it comes to the storage as well as then it comes to, and a related question which I would also like to ask is that because I stuck on that grid 2-3 times integration, that if there is storage, will that help me put my factory also in a remote place where there is no grid connectivity at all? Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll just take this up. So as far as the next wave is concerned, if you see that all the tenders, even the larger projects that you talk about from NTPC perspective or SJVNL or even in Gujarat GUVNL has been floating tenders with storage, because now that is the need of hour. Without storage, because grid infrastructure can be limited, you cannot have if you see that Power Grid has a target of laying 1,90,000 circuit kilometers by 2030. So this is itself is a huge, but this will not be enough for us to evacuate the amount of power that we are going to generate by 2030. Now, the same infrastructure which we are utilizing for evacuation, especially that we talk about, is when we are injecting only solar, that grid remains ideal during the evening time. Now, to optimize that, if battery energy storage is going to play a very, very pivotal role and critical role, for which we as a company has already started putting up projects with battery energy storage. And this is going to be the next big wave that you will see, that by 2030, you will see battery energy storage coming up with a capacity of nothing less than 250 gigawatt hour in India, which will stabilize the grid. Because today, the challenge in India right now is that we have surplus power during the daytime, but when we need the peak power, which is during the 6 to 10 hours, at that point of time, we have only only two resources which we are able to get power. That also depending on the seasonality. The firm power is the thermal power, and the inform power during certain seasons is wind and hydro in certain states. Apart from that, we don't have firm power. So battery is going to play a very, very pivotal role in supplying firm power during the peak hour, which is 6 to 10. Again, the impact for this is going to be that the optimization of the grid is going to happen through this. Secondly, with this optimization, as a consumer, you are also going to get benefited that you are paying the transmission charges, which is on the AC capacity. So let's say, for example, somebody is putting up a 10 megawatt AC capacity, and which means that he is allowed to inject 10 megawatt during the daytime while he is doing solar. But with the same transmission charges, he can also evacuate through battery another 10 megawatt through batteries, which is subject to the demand that he has. And the overall cost of generation would be substantially reduced. This also applies to the distribution companies also. When they have the peak power procurement during the summer season, they are procuring power at a rate of 15 to 20 rupees from exchange, which will get very optimized if we use this battery energy storage. That is one thing which is going to pick up in a very, very big way. And secondly, obviously the next big wave is going to be on the green hydrogen front, which again, we as a company are going to put up our first project, which is going to be in Gujarat, which is going to be a small project with a 500,000 metric ton, NM cube per hour facility, where the model is going to be to supply green hydrogen and green ammonia, where there's a huge demand from the industry, because everybody wants, the power is certain percentage of the raw material, but beyond power, you also have requirements for other projects like raw material like steam and green hydrogen and green ammonia. So this is going to be, and for doing that, the target that we have by the government of India, which is 5 million metric ton by 2030, which will require further 125 gigawatt of renewable capacity to be added to power this green hydrogen projects. So these are two big things which is going to be the future which we see. And as a company, we have taken a first leap on to this two projects as well.
So interesting. And green energy, just comparing solar and green energy, they are two different fuels, right? So will that be a threat to solar by any chance, or that the demand is only going to be growing and growing, and as many sources of fuel coming in will be enough, would be welcome in the real world?
So this is going to add up to the capacity beyond 500 gigawatt, because just a thumb rule number that if you want to install 1 megawatt hour battery, you need to put additional 250 kilowatt to charge over and above the real-time demand. So this is going to add up the demand of renewable power, which is a mix of solar or wind, whatever you want to do. And on the hydrogen also, so these are complementary. These are not these are not threat, but these are complementary, which is going to add up to the demand into the renewable industry.
Yeah, and may eat up actually the existing solar capacity rather than
That's correct.
creating.
So there is an estimate for hydrogen. There will be additional 200 gigawatt of requirement beyond the 500 gigawatt, which is the existing power requirement for through thermal power. There is it's a complement. So any new source of energy will be complementary. If you talk about green steam, the steam is already produced. So this will be produced through green energy. Hydrogen, if you say electrolysis process is going on since ages, but only difference is that electrolyzer is being run by the green power. So everything around green is the flavor. And as I always say, it's a sunrise sector and it's just a start.
Oh yes, no, without a doubt. And on the battery, are they available already? Are they priced in such a fashion that we have arrived at doing this storage, or is this also 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years away?
So battery technology is now a very, very proven technology. So as far as the price is concerned, so see on a standalone basis, definitely right now also viability becomes a challenge. But if you blend this with the existing renewable, let's say you're putting up, blending 20-25% with battery. So your overall levelized cost of energy doesn't get impacted. But at the same time, see, it's again, it's simple maths that you are replacing a 9 rupee or a 10 rupee power with, let's say currently with a vanilla, either solar or wind, you're replacing with 2.5 rupees per unit. But if you add battery, your cost with, blended cost becomes 3 rupees. So still on an overall mix, like when, why it is important for industry is because most of the states are now going towards a real-time settlement mechanism where whatever power that you generate during the daytime will get adjusted only during the daytime. So it will also become important for industry to understand that they have to replace that peak power where they are paying the maximum. So in Gujarat, let's say we pay a 85 paisa TOD charge, which is an over and above the energy charges that you pay during the off-peak hours. So that 85 paisa plus, the banking, because banking no more would be available. So ultimately, the question that you had that if I have surplus power in the home, like I'm just to quote an example for your residential system, where do I use that particular power? So you can generate during the daytime and you can inject during the evening hours, which is 6 to 10, which will save your banking charge, which is, take an example of Gujarat, which is 1.5 rupees, plus your TOD charge, which you pay to the DISCOM, which is 85 paisa. So 2.35 rupees, your cost of generation reduces. So ultimately, on a blended level, it makes a lot of sense. We are doing close to almost 300 gigawatt hour, megawatt hour battery projects for government and private sector customers across India. And we have seen that the adoptability by the consumer, when you show the numbers, makes a lot of sense because with a vanilla renewable project, you are doing at what? Maximum 50-55% converting your overall demand into renewables. But with battery, if you are able to replace another 20%, so your overall purchase from DISCOM reduces to the extent that it makes the project much more viable as compared to doing a vanilla project. So viability is not a challenge. Standalone, of course, when you talk about on a standalone basis, it doesn't make sense, but with a blended with renewable, it makes huge sense.
So, yeah, so answering to the point, the battery cost 1.5 years back was $120 for kWh. Now it has been reduced to almost 70-80. So viability in terms of battery has been improving. At the same time, the technology is quite proven. Initially, there were 3,600 cycles, that is like 10 years of life. Now the batteries are coming with 20 years of life. That was the biggest challenge of the industry for battery life. That has been solved quite efficiently with the new technology that is coming up with the new source. So 20 years of life is as good as a solar life. And that is adding up, and this will add up to the demand. And government is now, in fact, will be pushing. So there is a circular from MNRE that 20% of your power plant, whatever you install, should come up with the battery. So that is a new initiative what government has taken, because government is afraid that they already want a RTC power, the round-the-clock power.
Correct.
Yeah, otherwise there will be grid instability. Whatever they are putting up, as much capacity they, if you keep on flowing power during daytime and doesn't produce during night time, then there will be instability in the grid. Yeah.
Yeah, which
In fact, Rajasthan has already implemented that whatever is your capacity, 5% is mandatory with battery now for even private consumers also. So this is going to get picked up, and I think battery storage will come in like, you know, the renewable purchase obligation. You'll have the battery purchase obligation. Maybe that is coming up in next 1 year, I believe. It's not far, but 1 year. So I think everybody has started preparing for that.
So it makes sense, they're round the clock, otherwise there's the grid pressure which goes down, goes up, and then there is certainly a problem in the system. Any specific incentives from the government that you would like the industry people to know, that apart from, of course, you mentioned that they're going to give connectivity and any other incentives for heavy industries or even the industries SMEs?
So, see, government knows that the project is so viable that most of the incentives are not now taken away. There are some schemes, as Shobhit before mentioned, PM Kusum, where a small-time investors are given. So, so far, what was happening? A large private equity funds were only, I mean, they were allowed because the project size of 200, 200 megawatt. A smaller investors with 4, 5 megawatt also can do such kind of projects where there are certain incentives given for using Indian produced modules. So there is a subsidy given if your modules are made in India and the cells also used in India. So there are subsidies given for that. So in a way, subsidies given to promote manufacturing also, along with the promoting the smaller investors who has appetite of 4, 5 megawatt kind of a project size.
So yes, that makes sense, because as Shobhit started, that we are on track with this 500 gigawatt, and that's where government is also playing good role where at the manufacturing level as well as at the support level when it comes to grid. So we are 13 seconds, and maybe one last question is that what is that you can do from your solar R&D that when we go out we don't feel hot? 44 degrees maybe. Maybe that's a food for thought that I can leave it to these guys. They have an R&D and that the screen says time's up. But any last thoughts that you would like to give to the industries?
So any megawatt we produce, we save 2,200 tons of carbon dioxide. So we are already helping to reduce your heat. That is always there. But yes, see, global, wherever you do any sort of green energy, overall global warming is helped. As I mentioned, this 2,200 is a big number every year for a megawatt of plant. And we are talking about 500 gigawatt by 2030. You imagine the carbon dioxide level we will be reducing in the world. Yeah.
Wow, there'll be cleaner
Yeah,
air. Hopefully
actually-
in the NCR region, there would be some ease.
Yes.
So I think on this last point that Soundbhai asked, so two things. One is as far as the global warming is concerned, so ultimately as a company, you know, our contribution is there, but let me tell you the innovation on the cooling system is also happening, because if you see the majority of the global warming which happens is because of the air conditioning system that you have, the HVAC system that we have, that is one of them, you know, the secondly is the cars. So I think it's I mean, most of you see that cars are getting replaced with EVs. That is going to help. And secondly, that, you know, even smaller countries, I mean, India is far behind, but if you talk about the district cooling systems, which are actually helping to reduce this global warming as well, in even smaller countries, South Asian countries like, you know, Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia have taken a very big leap. In fact, in Gujarat also, we have this GIFT city where we have this district cooling systems. If this can be implemented in a bigger way, that can also help to reduce the emission levels and obviously help us to reduce the you know, temperatures that we have been seeing drastic changes over last few years.
Fabulous. Thank you, Manan. Thank you, Shobhit. Very important, and certainly Viksit Bharat would happen simultaneously. We will have more oxygen also by the time we become Viksit Bharat, with what the initiatives you guys are doing and all the solar and renewable energy players are doing. So thank you once again, GCCI, and I hope this session was useful for your insights on the solar and renewable energy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you
everyone.
so much.
It was indeed very fruitful discussion. Thank you, our panelists, and special thanks to our moderator. Thank you, Mr. Shobhit Rai and Mr. Manan Thakur for sharing your views. We are sincerely thankful to you for your insightful discussion. Thank you once again. And ladies and gentlemen, moving forward, we have the next panel discussion on branding, growth and scaling strategies for MSMEs. The road to rupees 1000 crore strategies for MSME growth and expansion. And we are deeply honored to have with us today a luminary in their respective fields. Please join us in extending a warm welcome to our esteemed panelists for the next session. They are Mr. Rajiv Chawla, Chairman IM SME of India and founder of Jairaj Group. Please welcome, sir, on the dais. Please put your hands together for Mr. Rajiv Chawla, sir. We also welcome on stage Mr. Paras Desai, Executive Director, Gujarat Tea Processors and Packers Limited, Wagh Bakri Tea Group. Mr. Paras Desai. We have with us Mr. Jigesh Doshi, President, Plast India and Chairman, Vishakha Group. Mr. Jigesh Doshi. Very warm welcome to you, sir. And this session is also going to be moderated by Professor Dr. Savan Godiawala, sir. Foremost, I would request Shri Sudhanshu Mehta to kindly come upon the stage. Our Honorary Treasurer, Mr. Sudhanshu Mehta. We are requesting you, sir, to kindly felicitate our panelists, Mr. Rajiv Chawla, Chairman IM SME of India and founder of Jairaj Group, Faridabad. Mr. Paras Desai, Executive Director, Gujarat Tea Processors and Packers Limited, Wagh Bakri Tea Group. And Mr. Jigesh Doshi, President, Plast India and Chairman, Vishakha Group. Once again, we extend a warm welcome to all of you. And over to you, sir, Mr. Godiawala.
Thank you. Very happy to have such, I would use the word stalwarts on the panel with me. Paras Bhai, Rajiv and Jigesh Bhai. I have known Jigesh Bhai and Paras for ages, and good to know Rajiv, and thanks for coming from Delhi. I think Delhi should be as bad as Ahmedabad in terms of the temperature, so you are not worse off, maybe, hopefully. So we are bad, but I think compliments to Sandeep Bhai team that here is a good place, you know. You don't want to go out. So good that people will be held up just because they don't want to go out the way 44 degrees is burning them outside. So today we are going to be talking about, by the way, my role earlier as a moderator was in a proxy role. Now I am actually in the moderator role. There was nobody and they thought there is one free man over here, so they just picked me up and put me over here. So, and thank you, and this lady introduces me as a professor, CA, doctor, Godial. I said, that's taking away a lot of time. The time starts, and then please only call me Savan. So I have some basic questions that I want to ask, but I want them to share their experiences. We talk about branding strategies, but we are more talking about SMEs also, the growth of SMEs, the MSMEs that have grown, and these people are the experience, are the real examples of what has happened in the space, both in terms of branding, in terms of execution, in terms of supply chain, and in terms of ultimately positioning and reputation building in the market. So first question, of course, and Paras bhai, for you, I went to your stall outside Wagh Bakri, and then I said, I don't want to have tea over here, because, and then I went to meet someone else, some other industry. And in their stall I went, I said, I will have, they offered me tea, and that was also Wagh Bakri tea. So naturally, it has to be Wagh Bakri tea. You have your morning every day which comes, starts with Wagh Bakri tea, and that is what we want to know, that how does this happen, that you created that, and you will give an idea about your advice to the people at large who are building the brands, that how the brand is about recollection and a brand is about loyalty, right? This is the two things happen that when, and your brand has become synonymous with tea itself, right? We will say Wagh Bakri, we are having Wagh Bakri. So we would like to have your insights and thoughts on how, what is that works on brand? Is it lot of money in the pocket? Or is it lot of penetration in the market through having distribution? Is it burning the money also? Or is it positioning right in the market that creates a brand, that you were touching the right pain points or touching the right emotions of your customer?
Namaskar, friends. To begin with, should I address everybody in English or in Hindi or Gujarati? Because I want people to understand.
English or Gujlish,
Gujli-
howsoever. I think
Okay, sure.
that's a good idea. That gives me also some idea. that you enjoy speaking in Gujarati at times.
Yeah,
Eh? Rajiv, you will have to
Because-
bear with us.
Because it's like, but because it's a Gujarat Chamber of Commerce, that's the reason. So, sorry, Hindi and Gujarat, thank you. Okay, સૌ પ્રથમ તો હું એમ કહીશ કે આપણે આપણા ગ્રાહકને ઓળખવાનો છે અને ગ્રાહક બીજું કોઈ નથી પણ એ આપણામાંનો જ એક છે, આપણું ફેમિલી મેમ્બર છે. सो यदि आपका कस्टमर आपका फैमिली बन जाता है, सो फिर उसके लिए चिंता जो आप फैमिली मेंबर के कर रहे हो वही करने वाली बात हो जाती है. सो दिस जॉब बिकम्स 24/7. It is no longer 8 hours, 6 hours, 5 days a week kind of a thing. So that's very, very clear. And this has been ingrained in my family. So हम कहीं पे भी जाते हैं तो ये होता है कि कई एस्पेक्ट्स होते हैं मार्केट्स के, प्रोडक्ट्स के, कंपटीशन के, प्लेसमेंट्स के या कैटेगरी के, तो हम प्लेजर मतलब वैकेशन के लिए गए हो या कोई और काम के लिए गए हो तो हम जरूर वी मेक इट अ पॉइंट टू गो टू द मार्केट्स टू इंटरेक्ट विथ आवर सप्लाई चेन पार्टनर्स, कुड बी रिटेलर्स, कुड बी डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर्स, कुड बी एनीबडी. So that's, and when you start thinking about your family member, you want them to have the best, isn't it? मतलब you are passionate about it. वो चलता है attitude नहीं चलेगा फिर. वो चलता है attitude में ही गड़बड़ होता है. So that is the basic thing. And then obviously सावन भाई तमें जे कीधु ने कि is it penetration, is it positioning and all those things? Yes. It is, but those are all, I would say, ingredients, yes. But first comes the passion. And then you have to understand the requirement of the customer and the ease at which he is going to have it, wherever he wants to have it. And you have to be the best in the class. So that's the whole idea objective. You can't have, if you're not going to wish your children would have second best, then why should your customer have the second best? Simple and straight. So that's the whole idea objective from us.
I think makes a lot of sense that you see your customer as your family and then everything falls in line, because then you will treat them differently, supply them differently. But Rajiv, in your case, there's a different context to what Paras Bhai's story is. The different context is you are a B2B man and still you would be known as a brand person, because your customer, even though it's an industry, is looking for your name, your brand, Jairaj Industries on the product. That, so how do you do that branding even in a B2B? Because I understand most of the SMEs are, majority of them would be B2B. So how do you address that branding space and then make sure that it is the branding loyalty will brings you even the industry customers?
In fact, if I may take exactly what Paras Bhai just said, or family, I'll use a word called customer centricity. This is, in fact, the same thing. Exactly जो पारस भाई ने बोला, मैं भी वही बोल रहा हूँ. But शायद मेरी terminology में हम उसको customer centricity कहते हैं कि when you eat, drink, sleep, dream, align your entire thought process, your working, your operations with what your customers want or are expecting from you. That is what helps you build a brand. Let me tell you, मैं एक बात ज़रूर कहूँगा कि brand सिर्फ आप ये मत सोचिए कि FMCGs बनाते हैं, कोक, पेप्सी जैसी बड़ी कंपनीज बनाती हैं. अगर आप एक हेयर ड्रेसर की दुकान पर आप बार बार उसी से हेयर कट के लिए जाते हैं, तो उसका एक ब्रांड है आपके मन में और आप उसी को फॉलो करते हैं. तो कस्टमर अगर रिपीटेडली आपके पास आ रहा है तो वो एक आप ऑलरेडी एक ब्रांड है. तो ये ब्रांड जो है एक चाट पापड़ी की स्टॉल से लेकर एक बहुत बड़े लार्ज कॉरपोरेट तक हो सकती है. मैं B2B इंडस्ट्री से हूँ, मैं सप्लाई चेन पार्टनर हूँ ऑटोमोबाइल कंपनीज में, और बहुत सी और इंजीनियरिंग कंपनीज हैं जिनके लिए हम R&D करके बहुत हाई टेक प्रोडक्ट्स भी बना रहे हैं. बट कस्टमर के साथ अलाइन होना, आपने फैमिली का वर्ड यूज़ किया, मेरे केस में भी फैमिली है, पर मेरे केस में वो फैमिली में छोटा नहीं है, शायद मेरे केस में वो फैमिली का सबसे बड़ा है, क्योंकि उसके कमांड पर वो ऑडिट्स करते हैं, वो हमें रिक्वायरमेंट्स देते हैं. देयर टीम्स कम टू आवर फैक्ट्रीज और वो शॉप फ्लोर्स ऑडिट करते हैं. अब लेट अस से आई हैव 6 प्लांट्स इन इंडिया और एक यहाँ सानंद में भी है. तो मैं तो शायद सानंद में कभी साल में 1 बार या 2 बार विजिट पर आता हूँ, लेकिन मेरे कस्टमर्स जो यहाँ पर ऑटो के कस्टमर्स हैं वो मुझसे कई गुना ज़्यादा, महीने में 4-4 बार वो लोग जाते हैं. सो इट इज़ मोर ऑफ देयर शॉप फ्लोर एंड आई टेल देम कि मैं तो आपका शॉप फ्लोर का मैनेजर हूँ, आपकी तरफ से मैं मैनेज कर रहा हूँ. सो जिस दिन आप इस चीज़ को अपने माइंड में लेंगे, आप भी एक ब्रांड बनेंगे. और अगर 5 साल नहीं, 10 साल नहीं, आज अगर 42 years, वी आर नाउ इन 42nd year of our, I set up this company when I was 19 years old. So अगर इतने साल से वही कस्टमर्स हैं जो एक बार आया वो छोड़ के नहीं गया और उनके साथ ग्रो भी कर रहे हैं और नए कस्टमर्स भी ऐड हो रहे हैं, तो निसंदेह वो एक ब्रांड है. और इसका क्रेडिट मैं तो नहीं लूँगा, लेकिन पूरी जो टीम है, मैं तो आपके साथ बैठा हूँ आज और इस सेमिनार, इस कॉन्क्लेव को अटेंड कर रहा हूँ, लेकिन वो फैक्ट्रीज़, वो शॉप फ्लोर्स जो सुबह भी चल रही हैं, रात को भी चल रही हैं, हम सो भी रहे हैं, कहीं घूम भी रहे हैं, तो वो चल रही है. तो जो लास्ट मैन जो काम में है, और अगर हमने उसको भी अलाइन कर रखा है कस्टमर की रिक्वायरमेंट के साथ, कस्टमर सेंट्रिसिटी के साथ, वो किसी भी ब्रांड का मंत्र है. थैंक यू.
I think so. It is more about the philosophy of a business than a policy of a business. This would be my interpretation. That it should be the nature and culture of working in a organization.
You use the right word, culture.
जिसमें आप customer को you make them as if they are part of the family, part of the organization, and not somebody where you are extracting money. You are doing a win-win formula, and that comes to. So I'll come back to both of you for also giving a glimpse of the growth that both of the companies have. But Jigish Bhai is with us. Jigish Bhai, you have done something phenomenal in terms of 2 things. One is picking up the areas which are the sectors which are the future, and 2 also in the diversifying over a period of time. कितने 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 product में diversify किया. And the areas that you picked up after growing so big are also you talking about world class, world scale, both in terms of size, scale. So can you give us an idea about kya ye story? You started with flexible packaging, you went into the agriculture or drip and other, and then you went into other products, you came into metals, and then you got into glass. So what was the journey that made you diversify one, and what challenges have you faced from an SME to becoming such a large organization?
Sawan bhai, first of all, actually, the one sentence, it's common for all. Fayo e dio. Who is success? Everyone is telling that you are intelligent person. And someone is failure, so everyone is telling tana kone ki tu dot daya tha best na. So it is a common. But yes, we started with a small factory of the flexible packaging and then diversified into plastic pipe, then injection molding crates and pellets, then greenhouse film, then solar vertical, then we are putting a one plant at the West Bengal and one plant at the Indonesia. So we are diversified and we are locationally also diversified. So first, anything when some opportunity came, तो पहले एक जो ऑनर है ना, ऑनर का क्या है माइंडसेट, वो जो राजीव जी ने बताया, ऑनर फैक्ट्री चलाता नहीं है. ऑनर का एक विजन होना चाहिए कि दिस इज अ अपॉर्चुनिटी और दिस इज अ लायबिलिटी. सर्टन अपॉर्चुनिटी जो अपने लगती है वो कई बार कन्वर्ट इनटू लायबिलिटी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी एंड सर्टन रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी कन्वर्ट इनटू अपॉर्चुनिटी. सो व्हाट इज माय रोल इज टू फाइंड आउट ए अपॉर्चुनिटी. सो अगर वर्ल्ड में कहीं भी देखो तो सर्टन टाइम के बाद में सर्टन फील्ड जीरो हो जाता है. जो आज पिक के ऊपर है वो आप 10 साल के बाद देख सकते हो कि वो फील्ड ही खत्म हो गया. देन डाइवर्सिफाइड बिजनेस इज अ सस्टेनेबल बिजनेस. तो व्हाट आई फाइंड कि इंडिया में क्या प्रॉब्लम है. इंडिया में प्रॉब्लम था बरसों पहले फूड, फ्रूट, वेजिटेबल्स, फूड इजी अवेलेबल नहीं था या तो क्रॉप के हिसाब से प्लस माइनस होता था. देन एग्रीकल्चर, वाटर शॉर्टेज इज देयर, ड्रॉट इज देयर, सो मेनी प्रॉब्लम वाज देयर. देन ग्रीन हाउस. ग्रीन हाउस इज अ लेटेस्ट थिंग कि ग्रीन हाउस है तो बढ़िया क्रॉप आपका बाहर आएगा. Then now solar vertical. So we started in 2001. We are 24 years old company. Next year we are celebrating 25th years. तो flexible packaging वो टाइम पे नीड थी कि कोई भी एडिबल ऑयल है कि फूड है, अगर ऐसा पैकिंग चाहिए कि जिससे वो खराब नहीं होगा, उसकी सेल्फ लाइफ 1 महीने की जगह पे 12 महीना लंबी हो जाएगी, तो फूड वेस्टेज इज नॉट देयर. देन वी कन्वर्ट इट टू ड्रिप इरिगेशन. तो ड्रिप इरिगेशन इज अ नीड ऑफ द आवर. ड्रिप इरिगेशन चाहिए जिससे पानी का सेविंग होगा, इसके लिए वहाँ गए. थर्ड, ग्रीन हाउस विद द लेटेस्ट टेक्नोलॉजी. तो हम जहाँ जहाँ भी गए वो टाइम की नीड के ऊपर गए और वर्ल्ड के जो वन ऑफ द बेस्ट है 1 से 3 में जो टेक्नोलॉजी अवेलेबल है वही टेक्नोलॉजी के साथ गए. कोई टेक्नोलॉजी में हमने कॉम्प्रोमाइज नहीं किया. तो दैट इज सक्सेस. एंड देन फाइनली वेस्ट बंगाल बिकॉज ऑफ द लॉजिस्टिक. हर एक एंटरप्रीनियर को लॉजिस्टिक भी देखना पड़ेगा. आज अहमदाबाद में मैन्युफैक्चरिंग करके अगर वो आसाम में सप्लाई करता है तो सर्वाइव नहीं होगा. दे हैव टू पुट अप ए प्लांट इन आसाम ओनली. तो लॉजिस्टिक. देन इंडोनेशिया ओनली बिकॉज ऑफ द वी हैव अ लार्ज कस्टमर इन इंडोनेशिया, सो वी पुट अप ए प्लांट देयर. एंड सोलार. सोलार इज यस्टरडे, टुडे एंड टुमारोज फ्यूचर. कि आने वाले 10 साल तक सोलार इज अ फ्यूचर. जो आपने अभी अगले सेशन में मैं सुन रहा था, आपने हाइड्रोजन वाली बात की या जो भी किया, एंड दैट इज अ थिंग बिकॉज आज अपने लोग सोलार क्या देख रहे हैं, रूफटॉप, सोलार पार्क, इंडस्ट्रीज के लिए सोलार चाहिए. वो ये एक पार्ट है. दैट इज नॉट स्टार्टिंग एंड दैट इज नॉट ए एंड. ये तो एक स्मॉल पार्ट साबित होने वाला है. जब हाइड्रोजन आएगा तभी मैक्सिमम सोलार का यूज होने वाला है टू मेकिंग द हाइड्रोजन. ए रूफटॉप तो 5% बिजनेस में रह जाने वाला है. इंडस्ट्रियल जो रिक्वायरमेंट है वो 25%, 50, लेस देन 50% में रहेगा और 50% प्लस जो है वो हाइड्रोजन में जाएगा. सो इट इज अ फ्यूचर ऑफ द आने वाला 10 साल का फ्यूचर है. सो इट्स अ स्टोरी.
So yeah, I think very important. When we talk about sunrise industries, it is not just about sunrise. Sunset industry को भी देखनी पड़ती है कि what is not going to survive, what is maybe not environmental unfriendly. We might have to pull back from that business. And where we see sunrise, where solar is coming, green hydrogen is coming, and thus the glass. and such a large operations that are being put up, but it is more about where the future is. So well said that we will have to continuously do that. 10 साल पहले शायद जिगीश भाई ने ये नहीं सोचा होगा या 15 साल पहले कि I will get into the renewables, because he was very comfortable in a flexible and the drip irrigation business which was flourishing at that time. So I think this makes a lot of sense. I will once again come to Rajiv, you and Paras bhai, that if you can give a little bit of story about how you developed and grew your industry before we get into a question where what are the talent challenges, what are the capital challenges typically SMEs may face. But I would first like you to give a little bit of your background of a story of the growth, and you've done something worthwhile for sure in terms of your SME initiatives also. And then what Jigish bhai said, आपने भी decentralized Sanand में plant है, office आप Delhi से चला रहे हो, but you're closer probably to the market or closer to the vendors. So I think Paras bhai, you can take first, and then Rajiv can take it. Yeah.
Thank you. Good question. So our short story is that we started with retail outlets. So અમદાવાદમાં અમારે 7 રિટેલ આઉટલેટ હતી ચાની, એકથી ચાલુ કરી 7 સુધી પહોંચ્યા. In that journey, lot of connect with the consumer. ના દિવસ જોઈએ ના રાત જોઈએ, the connect consumer સાથે હોય એટલે તરત તમને ખ્યાલ આવે કે what are the trends, what are people asking, what is the quality, how are they treating it, what is the value that they're getting from our product, and what are they seeking out of it. એના પછી we went into packet tea against the advice of IIM Ahmedabad. So yes, that was a journey of 5 years where they said that when we are advising people like levers to go into, to open up Vrindavan type of outlets all over India, why are you wanting to go into packet tea? They have become a disaster. So we had our own analysis. And my earlier generation did a lot of hard work, a lot of leg work, and because of which then we started with Ahmedabad, and God had been kind. So when you start thinking about customer centricism, or a customer is part of the family, you know, God also helps you in many ways. And it became so simple that word of mouth, small little advertisement, not big cost, nothing. Small little advertisement here and there would really help. So things like that. So that's how we started our journey. From Ahmedabad, we went into Baroda, and then Rajkot and Surat, and so on and so forth, then to Rajasthan, and then to Madhya Pradesh, and then we start. So today, as we speak, we are in 24 states of India, trying to do the length and breadth over there. We are exporting to more than 60 countries. And the portfolio expansion is also happening. So all those things are there. And you said something about again, when you say customer is part of the family, why not the person who is working day and night, or so many kilometers away from you? It's all the trust. So trust is one aspect, and then you have your own MIS, you have your SOPs, you have your standard operating practice hoy. Information system તમને મળવી જોઈએ જ્યારે જ્યારે જોઈએ ત્યારે એને ડિવાઇસ કરવી પડે, and delegation of authority. So આ બધું, so you have to then make sure that આની અંદરમાં તમે જે ગ્રોથની વાત કરી, so important element is to identify which are the 1 or 2 important I would say drivers for you, which is very different from other organizations. So when you do that, you come to know that, okay, this is where you need to focus. And then balance, you do your DOAs, you do your MIS, and then you start decentralizing it. And obviously, talent will also see to it that, you know, how are you being treated, how are they treating, and how is things happening, and all those things. So that's how you do it. And for us, it is mainly evaluation of teas and giving consistent quality throughout the year, wherever required, whenever required, sort of a thing. So for us, that is a main thing, yeah.
Yeah. So the bottom line, and Rajiv, just I'll have 2-3 things to take away for all of us. One is that yes, they pulsed the market, grew the market, got into a diversification in terms of product, loose tea to packaged tea. they would have done their own analysis, then growing it, and then I know that how many brands? 30 brands already now under your portfolio, sub-brands?
So yeah, we have almost like 5 brands, and
Five-
then yeah, but
and then
SKUs
sub-brands.
would be what 300. Yeah.
SKUs. So 5 brands, Good Morning and others, right? So that, now one step at a time, but being in the market now, he used one word that against the advice of IIM. So that's what the role of an entrepreneur is. Being in the market, and I remember Sandeep bhai એક તમે મને કહેતા હતા one of the meetings કે સંદીપ ભાઈ કે હું પોતે જઈને કોઈ મારા પેલા રિટેલરના દુકાન પર જઈને એનો ભાવ પૂછું છું કેવું વેચે એઝ ઇફ કે ભાઈ હું રસ્તામાં કોઈ કસ્ટમર તરીકે આવી રહ્યો છું. Now this is the entrepreneurial part of the story where you try to do your analysis which would be much better than the consultants of the world for sure. So
If I may add, Savan bhai, today's newspaper is saying that Gujarat is the bed for the entrepreneurs. I mean, the Times of India is carrying a huge article on that.
Is that so? Yes. So, and Rajiv, maybe in nutshell, if you can have this, we have the clock, of course, moving.
Yeah. In fact, मेरा journey थोड़ा different है और I am a first generation entrepreneur. Not the best of circumstances when I started. I lost my father. I was 19 years old. And I remember I went to a bank and I took a 10,000 rupees working capital, CC limit. Wow. From that time it was Syndicate Bank, now it has merged with Canara Bank. So that is the journey with most of the entrepreneurs my types, first generation, who come from humble backgrounds. My parents and my grandparents, they'd migrated from Pakistan post-partition. So their story was different, so I've come from that background. And that is why the journey has been long, but consistent, step by step, and steady. And step by step, it keeps adding. Today, when I, as president of IMSME of India, I deal with a lot of startups. And let me tell you, often people keep MSMEs and startups in the same category. But let me tell you, they are entirely different. Startup is someone who goes from zero to hero, from zero to a unicorn straight away. And that is what the vision is, plan is. They get equity, they get venture funds and poised to do. They can run into losses for years and still have valuation worth billions. But most of people, us, like me, we have to go step by step. Debt is the only instrument available to us. That also, if we are lucky and we are good. And needless to say that it's a long journey of financial discipline, step-by-step growth. We kept growing. We became customer-centric. Customer को ज़रूरत है तो उनके लिए हमने उत्तराखंड में प्लांट लगाया, औरंगाबाद महाराष्ट्र में लगाया, गुड़गांव में लगाया, फरीदाबाद में, सानंद में. So customer के साथ बढ़ना. We set up 3 R&D centers and जहाँ बहुत high-end research products बनाते हैं. हम drones के, aeronautics के, जो बहुत ही आजकल modern engineering products आ रहे हैं, हम उसमें बहुत सारा development करते हैं. We do a lot of value addition. Future पे बहुत ध्यान दे रहे हैं. आगे आने वाले टाइम में क्या टेक्नोलॉजीज़ पे काम हो रहा है, हम उन्हीं के लिए अभी से प्रोडक्ट्स डेवलप कर रहे हैं कस्टमर्स के साथ. ज़्यादातर कस्टमर्स के साथ हमारा NDA है डिफेंस में, और तो मैं बहुत डिटेल्स तो नहीं दे सकता हूँ. लेकिन फैक्ट ये है कि ये एक जर्नी बहुत लॉन्ग, बहुत कंसिस्टेंट, डेट फंडेड रही है कि जब ज़रूरत है नया प्लांट का, किसी नई चीज़ का, तो डेट आपको लेना ही है. फिर आपने उसी में घर बनाना है, उसी में बच्चों की शादी करनी है, उसमें और बहुत सारी चीज़ें करनी है. बट 41 years व्हेन आई लुक बैक, मुझे लगता है सिर्फ 5 साल काम किया. 36 साल तो ढूंढने में लग गए, क्या करो, कैसे करो, प्रोजेक्ट कैसे लगेगा, लाइसेंस कैसे मिलेगा, CLU कैसे मिलेगा, लोन कैसे होगा. तो कोई गाइडेड रोड मैप नहीं होता है एक एंटरप्रेन्योर के लिए. इसीलिए मैंने 2009 में IMSME ऑफ इंडिया का इंस्टीट्यूशन किया, इसको फॉर्म किया, जो एक गाइडेड गूगल मैप की तरह बिजनेसेस को आज गाइड करता है. तो आप कभी वेबसाइट पे देखिएगा IMSME ऑफ इंडिया, तो ये एक मेरा वेंचर है. वेंचर ही कहिए इसको, हालांकि इट्स अ नॉट फॉर प्रॉफिट थिंग, बट वन ऑफ द लार्जेस्ट एंटरप्रेन्योर नेटवर्क ऑफ इंडिया, जहाँ पर एंटरप्रेन्योर्स ही एक दूसरे को गाइड करते हैं। मैंने अगर कोई रिजल्ट लिया, मुझे पता है, अब जैसे एग्जाम्पल के लिए आपको पोल्ट्री फार्म लगाना है और अभी आप स्टैंड चार्ट बैंक जाइए लोन लेने के लिए, तो जाहिर है नहीं मिलेगा, तो यू शुड बी गोइंग टू सम, लेकिन अगर एक भैंस भी या गाय भी खरीदनी है तो स्टेट बैंक ऑफ इंडिया की कोई ना कोई ग्रामीण शाखा आपको वो लोन दे देगी। तो पॉइंट ये है कि एक एंटरप्रेन्योर को राइट मोमेंट पे गाइड करना, आप यहाँ जाइए, ये करिए, आपका समय बचेगा। तो IMSME ऑफ इंडिया एक तरह से आज ट्राइड, टेस्टेड, क्रेडिबल, अफोर्डेबल, रेडीमेड सॉल्यूशंस देती है एंटरप्रेन्योर्स को, ताकि आपका टाइम, एनर्जी और मनी बच जाए। तो ये दोनों चीज़ें लाइफ में साथ साथ चली। एंड मुझे खुशी है आपने क्रेडिट की बात की। आज देश में, बिकॉज हम बहुत इंटरेक्ट करते हैं गवर्नमेंट के साथ, पॉलिसी मेकर्स के साथ, मुझे खुशी है कहते हुए कि कोलेटरल फ्री लोन्स का भारत में जब स्थापना हुई, जब इंस्टीट्यूशन बना CGTMSE का, तो पहले 1 करोड़ तक का लोन मिलता था बिना कोलेटरल के, फिर इसे 2 करोड़ कर दिया गया, फिर 5 करोड़ तक का लोन मिलता था, और अभी इस बजट में 1 अप्रैल के बाद से अब 10 करोड़ तक का लोन एंटरप्रेन्योर्स को बिना पेरेंट्स की गारंटी के, कोई थर्ड पार्टी गारंटी नहीं चाहिए, आज एंटरप्रेन्योर्स को मिलता है। और एक और बहुत अच्छी चीज़ हम गवर्नमेंट के पास ही लेके गए थे लास्ट ईयर, और हमने बोला कि चलिए आज MSMEs को लोन मिल रहा है 5 करोड़ का, अब 10 हो गया है, लेकिन आज अगर मैं सोचूं कि एक बड़ा प्रोजेक्ट लगाता हूं और उसके लिए 50 करोड़ चाहिए, तो मेरे लिए क्या ऑप्शन है? हर आदमी SME IPO रूट नहीं जा सकता है, लेकिन डेट भी एक जगह पे आके कोलेटरल की वजह से रुक जाता है। सो मुझे खुशी है ये सबके साथ शेयर करते हुए कि गवर्नमेंट की अभी नई स्कीम लॉन्च हुई है फरवरी के महीने में, इसमें अब 100 करोड़ तक का लोन बिना किसी कोलेटरल सिक्योरिटी के मिलना शुरू हो गया है। इसके लिए गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने एक सेपरेट एक गारंटी ट्रस्ट बनाया है जो इस लोन की गारंटी लेता है। तो आज मुझे लगता है कि देश में अद्भुत इकोसिस्टम है कि आज अगर आपके दिल में आपको मालूम है क्या करना है, आपने अगर सोचा, तो प्रोजेक्ट चाहे 1 करोड़ का हो चाहे 100 करोड़ का हो, आज वो फंडिंग भी मिल रही है, वेंचर फंड्स हैं, फिर गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने फंड ऑफ फंड्स बनाया, स्टार्टअप्स को इक्विटी फंड्स मिलते हैं। तो हमने हाल ही में अभी सरकार के साथ चर्चा की कि MSMEs में, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग MSMEs में हमें इक्विटी नहीं मिलती है, स्टार्टअप्स को मिलती है लेकिन MSMEs को नहीं मिलती है। और हम कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि उसमें हम एक प्रायोरिटी सेक्टर ईयर मार्किंग कर लें कि ये जो 10,000 करोड़ का फंड ऑफ फंड्स है गवर्नमेंट का, इसमें कम से कम 15-20% ट्रेडिशनल MSMEs में भी जाए एज इक्विटी, नॉट एज डेट। तो ये ऑप्शंस धीरे धीरे क्रिएट हो रहे हैं, और मुझे लगता है कि गुजरात तो अपने आप में एक आइकॉनिक स्टेट है, आपने तो अर्न किया है इस देश में एक रोल मॉडल। और so
Rajiv, yes, I think this addresses one of the questions that I had written down, but very important. Typically MSME માં કે SME માં આપણે જોઈએ છે કે capital introduce કરી and then हम लाते हैं बैंक की loan. But then Rajiv has given one more flavor that look at this fund of funds, look at this collateral free borrowings, look at VCs, PEs and strategic tie-ups also for growth. Ultimately, the growth is the most important thing that anybody is getting into the industry for. So a very important perspective के ऐसा नहीं है कि business में मुझे जितना constraint है उसके हिसाब से ही मैं grow करूँ. Try to find avenues, and this SMEs, of course, one is the limits of SME has been increased now significantly, right? As an SME would be an SME for up to what, 300 crores or 500 crores.
अभी तो 500 करोड़ तक की इंडस्ट्री सभी
500 crore industry has gotten into an SME, which and then the SMEs get this what do we call it, a priority sector lending. That would be a big. So what I want to ask, very important, that I feel is a question for all the three of you, that companies जब चालू करते हैं 0 to 100 crores is one big target or one milestone that we achieve. 100 to 500, 500 to 1000, and then you grow beyond 1000. Then you're हर एक दफे the ecosystem, the challenges, the systems, the administration changes. Your business may remain the same, your products may remain the same, except you keep on tweaking, changing depending on आपके क्या आपके customer की requirements है. But what do you see or what would you like to share with as your experience के आप एक 0 से 100 पहुँचे तब what was your ecosystem? Because talent would be a constraint. There would be no CXO, C-suites at that time. And then the ERP could have come in, and then maybe the professionals and the large consulting firms would have come in. So what is that role that SME should know, that how they grow and that so that do not hit a stage where they become growth retarded? Yes, Jigish bhai તમારાથી ચાલુ કરી. Yes.
0 to 100 વખતે પટાવાલાથી માંડીને ઓનર તમે છો. એટલે 0 to 100 ની ચેલેન્જ જુદી છે, કારણ કે તારે તમારે ઓપરેટર ફેક્ટરી હોય તો ઓપરેટર પણ તમે છો, એકાઉન્ટન્ટ બી તમે છો, માર્કેટિંગ મેનેજર ઇઝ હિમસેલ્ફ, CEO એન્ડ ઓનર, એવરીથિંગ ઇઝ ધેર. 100 પછી ચેલેન્જ જુદી શરૂ થાય છે. દેન 100 પછી તમારા જે કીધું એવું બેંકની એન્ટ્રી થશે મોટા પાયે, તમારી ડેટ વધશે જો તમારે ગ્રોથ સ્પાનમાં જવાનું હશે તો. અને જેટલું રાજીવભાઈએ કીધું, વિથ ધ ડ્યુ રિસ્પેક્ટ, બટ ઇટ ઇઝ નોટ સો ઇઝી ટુ ગેટિંગ એ વિધાઉટ કોલેટરલ લોન ફ્રોમ ધ બેંક. It is not an easy thing. It is, on paper it is easy, but when actually someone, MSME goes to the bank, they have to pass with so many things. It is not an easy thing. So it is started with that. After 500, it is a totally different challenge because so many professionals are there. They are teachers. Yes, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have not to do this, you have not to go there, you have not to go there. And after maybe with the Sandeep Bhai, and after Sandeep Bhai બની જાઓ પછીની ચેલેન્જ આખી જુદી આવે. એ તમે બની ગયા પછીની ચેલેન્જ એ આવે કે તમને એટલા બધા પ્રોફેશનલ્સ તમારી સરાઉન્ડિંગ આવે, તમારે પૈસાને ક્યાં ઇન્વેસ્ટ કરવા, પૈસા ક્યાંથી લેવા, તમારે
ચેમ્બરના પ્રેસિડેન્ટ
બનવાનું, તમારે છોકરાને કેટલું સોંપવું, છોકરાને કેટલું ના સોંપવું, ક્યાંક શું બોલવું, એ બધી વસ્તુ પહેલાં તમારી ફ્રીડમથી ચાલે. Then so many people are surrounding you, they taught us that yes, you have to go with that. So every, with the single things, the challenge is different, but we have to enjoy challenge. Challenge always, if we enjoy the challenge, then growth is there. If we actually stress with the challenge, then it's a really challenge and we are not enjoying the. Acha, wag bakri chai avi gayi? Are wag, good part. So yes, sound by everyone. And who mara with the all experience from the micro to large, I can say one thing. Debt બહુ લીધા કરતા જો જ્યારે તમને એવું લાગે કે ગ્રોથ સ્પાન બહુ મોટો છે તો બહુ ડેટ ના લો. એના કરતાં કોઈ તમને સારો પાર્ટનર બને, ઇક્વિટી હોલ્ડર, તો એને થોડીક ઇક્વિટી આપી દો વિથ સમ પ્રીમિયમ, તો બે બેનિફિટ થશે. એક તો ઇન્ટરેસ્ટ બર્ડન નહીં આવે, સેકન્ડ એ તમારી દરેક જર્નીમાં તમારી જોડે સાથે રહેશે કે તમારે ગ્રોથ કેવી રીતે કરો. પણ એ ઇક્વિટી પાર્ટનર કોને લેવો? That's again a challenge. જે તમારાથી બહુ જ મોટો હોય એવાને જ લેવાય, નહીં તો પછી તમારા ઇક્વલ આવશે તો ડે ટુ ડે તમારા ઓપરેશન્સની અંદર ઇન્વોલ્વ થશે તો પાછું નહીં મજા આવે. આ બધું બહુ ડિટેલમાં ડિસ્કશન છે, બટ ધીસ ઇઝ માય ઓપિનિયન.
ઇટ્સ ગુડ. એટલે સ્ટ્રેટેજિક મોટો હોય એટલે હી હેઝ સીન ઓલ ધીસ, જે આપણે ભૂલો કરીએ જે કરી ચૂક્યા છે તો આપણને ફાયદો થાય.
હા, અને ગ્રોથ સ્પાનમાં હેલ્પફુલ થાય.
યસ યસ, વેરી ટ્રુ. राजीव, if you can give some idea.
Okay, मैं मुझे बहुत गुजराती तो नहीं आती है, पर मैं समझ रहा था मोटा मोटा. और 0 to 100 की जर्नी एग्जैक्टली वही है जो उन्होंने बताया है कि एक एंटरप्रेन्योर कोई, चाहे आप प्राइवेट लिमिटेड कंपनी बनाएं या लिमिटेड, एक्चुअली वो प्रोप्राइटरशिप टाइप की कंपनी चलती है और आप ही को सब करना है. और वो बेसिक्स है, बिकॉज एवरी पेनी लॉस्ट देयर. समझ लो आपके बीज की बोरी खो गई, वो तो सीड है. हर वो पैसा जो आपके पास है वो बीज का काम करता है. तो इसीलिए रिक्वायर्स लॉट ऑफ पर्सनल अटेंशन, एंगेजमेंट, पैशन, दिन रात, फैमिली, आप जिसको भी जैसे भी कहें. तो 0 to 100 की जर्नी नॉर्मली डेट से चलती है या नेचुरली पेरेंट्स या जो ब्लेस्ड हैं उनकी अगर कोई फैमिली की इक्विटी है उससे चलती है. एंड लेकिन 100 के बाद एक बहुत बड़ी सोच में चेंज लाने की ज़रूरत है, और वो है कि अब आपको प्रोप्राइटरशिप माइंडसेट से निकल के शेयरिंग माइंडसेट पे आना है। जब आप किसी प्राइवेट इक्विटी को कुछ इक्विटी अलॉट करिए, जब आपके बोर्ड पर कोई और भी बैठे जो कहे कि आप ये कार, महंगी कार क्यों खरीद रहे हो, आपका काम तो इस कार से चलता है। क्योंकि जब आप 100 करोड़ पे आते हो तो अपने हिसाब से आप लग्जरी कार्स, लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स अपनी कंपनी में लेते हैं। लेकिन जब आप प्राइवेट इक्विटी में किसी को लेके आएंगे तो नेचुरली आपके बोर्ड पर वो आपको डिसिप्लिन करता है। तो वो एंटरप्रेन्योर्स जो अपने आप को ये डिसिप्लिन देने के लिए तैयार हैं, उनके लिए एसएमई आईपीओज हैं या मेन बोर्ड आईपीओज हैं जो थोड़े टाइम बाद मिलेंगे, या प्राइवेट इक्विटी को लेके आइए। और इनके साथ फिर स्केलेबिलिटी, दिस इज टाइम नाउ टू स्केल अप ऑन योर टैलेंट्स, पीपल हु आर अराउंड, द अपॉर्चुनिटीज, जैसा जिग्नेश भाई ने अभी जिक्र किया कि कैसे अपॉर्चुनिटीज आपके पास आएंगी और आप एक प्लांट दूसरा प्लांट, स्केलिंग अप आई बिलीव इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। And then, of course, there is a journey where you think about 500 plus, 500 to 1,000. That is the time when you can hire the best agencies, the Deloittes, the McKinseys of the world, who will bring right projects to you, and you engage teams first, invest in teams first, and then you actually invest in ventures. So that is the time when you'll have resources. मुझे याद है कई साल पहले मैं कोरिया गया, हम अपने आप को हमेशा स्मॉल इंडस्ट्री कहते थे, वो कहते कहते थक गए। तो वहाँ जो पॉस्को स्टील्स है, वहाँ पर बहुत बड़ा एक बोर्ड लगा था, उनके म्यूजियम में हम गए और उनका वो बोर्ड पे लिखा था, रिसोर्सेज आर लिमिटेड, क्रिएटिविटी इज अनलिमिटेड। तो अगर आप आज अंबानी जी से पूछिए, वो भी कहेंगे रिसोर्सेज आर लिमिटेड, अडानी जी से कहेंगे रिसोर्सेज आर लिमिटेड, बट आप उन रिसोर्सेज से मैक्सिमम क्या दे सकते हो? कम टू दैट माइंडसेट, and I believe this is the journey.
I will take 1 minute take on Paras Bhai. No, Paras Bhai, and then I have one more, crisp question for all the three of you, and I can see 2 minutes and 45 seconds before us.
Sure. Thank you. So again, I would rather focus on what are the competencies that one has as an organization or as a person for the business. So from 0 to 100, as both of my co-panelists said, it's very, very true. જાતે જ બધું કરવાનું, પછી તમે દરબાન બી તમે, પટાવાળા બી તમે, ને CEO બી તમે, ને વેચનારા બી તમે, ખરીદનારા બી તમે. So that's fair. ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ છે કે આની અંદરમાં દરેક ટીમ મેમ્બરે સાથ આપવો પડે, દરેક ઉપર ટ્રસ્ટ હોવો જ પડે. અને when I'm saying team member, એટલે family member is part of team member. એટલે તમે કામ કરતા હો તો એ પણ કામ કરતા હોય, તમે ભોગ આપ્યો છે તો એમણે પણ ભોગ આપ્યો છે. એટલે એમ સમજવાની ભૂલ નહીં કરવાની કે ઘરે બેઠા આરામ કરે છે અને તમે જ કામ કરો છો. સો ઇટ્સ અ ડિફરન્ટ સ્ટોરી ઓલ ટુગેધર. નાઉ coming from 100 to 500, as exactly as they said, you need to have DOAs and MIS and all those things put in place. Then you need talent and professionals who will take you forward and all those things. But one thing very, very sure in any business, કોઈ પણ ધંધાની એક સત્ય વાત, ગ્રાહક સાથે કોઈ દિવસ ચીટિંગ કે છેતરપિંડી કરવી નહીં, કારણ કે એ તમારો ભાગ છે. તમે એની સાથે ચીટિંગ નથી કરતા, તમે જાત સાથે ચીટિંગ કરો છો.
So ethics is very important, especially.
Absolute.
Yes, no doubt.
Absolute.
So
At
very
whatever
important
cost.
takeaway, all of them can, this is what, the new age first generation entrepreneurs are too bubbly, they want to grow very fast in the process. So there are two things that we can do. One, you'll have to be your skin in the game, the all in the game, tune to president that you are in the initial stage one. Patience, you will need, time
Exactly.
when you grow.
Pleasant perseverance.
And
Pleasant perseverance.
That's what I think Jigesh Bhai used it differently. Enjoy the challenges. If you enjoy the challenges, you will be passionate about this. So I think very important takeaways. I don't have time. I wanted to ask a question which if you can answer in maybe one liner, that how do you do succession planning? Because SMEs which have grown to us, they also have, the second line is very important. You cannot be just having Jigesh Bhai all the time. There has to be Akshat also, and then there has to be CEOs also who have to be. So Jigesh Bhai, maybe half minute, okay? We are running out of time.
So already we started the succession planning with our professional team, the from the so long, and my son and my nephew.
And succession
family-
planning happens typically once you grow to a level of what, 3, 4, 5, 600 crores?
No.
It doesn't matter.
Anywhere. It's related with the age of myself and age of my son. અગર મારો સન 30 વર્ષને ક્રોસ કરી ગયો છે, જો એને કોઈ પણ જાતની એને નહીં આપું જવાબદારી અને હેટ, તો
very important.
તો એ પણ અપસેટ થઈ જશે કે હું 30 નો થઈ ગયો અને મારો બાપ તો મને છોડતો નથી કે એને બધું લઈને બેઠો છે, તો એ પણ અપસેટ થઈ જશે. એટલે તમારા ધંધો કેટલા રૂપિયાનો છે that is not important, but age of myself and age of my son is important. અને એની પોતાનું મેન્ટલ લેવલ that is it.
Rajiv, any view?
देखो कितना परफेक्ट बैलेंस है. बच्चों को कहना पड़ता है बेटा जो करना चाहो करो, और मन में सोचना पड़ता है कि प्लीज मेरे पास ही आ जाना. और स्पेशली तब जब आपका बिजनेस एक किसी पर्टिकुलर साइज पे पहुंच जाए, और जब आप चाहते हो कि बच्चे आए. अगर बिजनेस ग्रो ना करे, हम ही फेल हो जाएं, तो नेचुरली आप चाहेंगे बच्चे कुछ भी करें. तो मेरे साथ भी ऐसा ही रहा. बच्चों को आज़ादी भी देते थे, कहते थे जो करना है करो. तो मेरे बच्चे डॉक्टर, माई डॉटर इज़ अ डॉक्टर, शी इज़ अ पल्मोनोलॉजिस्ट, उसका हस्बैंड भी डॉक्टर है. एंड माई सन इज़ अ मूवी एक्टर. उसकी लास्ट मंथ मूवी रिलीज़ हुई, अभी जियो हॉटस्टार पे है, लव यापा. उसमें आप देखना तो ही हैज़ अ रोल कुचीपू. और मुझे बहुत डर लगता था कि हमारे घर का कुचीपू कहीं सचमुच में चला गया तो फिर ये इंजीनियरिंग बिजनेस कौन करे. उसकी वाइफ, शी हैपेंस टू बी अ ब्रेस्ट कैंसर सर्जन. तो आई हैड दिस सक्सेशन
You have professionals
fear
who will
always.
ultimately take
But let
over.
me tell you, बच्चों को अपने साथ अपने बिजनेस में लाना एक कला है. आप जबरदस्ती नहीं कर सकते, आप प्रीच नहीं कर सकते, आप फोर्स नहीं कर सकते. उन्हें लगना चाहिए आपने पूरी आजादी दी है.
वो एक्टर के साथ
लेकिन
हमको भी
कलाकारी
एक्टर
ये
बनना
है कि
पड़ता
वो
है.
फिर भी आपका बिजनेस आके ज्वाइन करें. आई एम वेरी फॉर्चुनेट, इस कलाकारी में मैं जीत गया, एंड माय सन इज विद मी इन बिजनेस.
Wonderful. So you were a better actor than them, maybe. Paras bhai,
Yeah,
succession,
so
you've done a
quickly-
fabulous succession planning,
Absolute.
which I
So you know
all
about
the
it.
life.
So basically, फैमिली में ये नहीं है कि सन या डॉटर, जो भी फैमिली मेंबर है उनको आप पहले से ही जब वो बच्चे हैं तब से आप इनवाइट करो, तब से बिजनेस के बारे में बातचीत करो. ये नहीं कि पुराने ज़माने में होता था यार पैसे नहीं आते हैं, यार फंस गए, कहाँ चले गए, बहुत थक गए, कुछ काम नहीं हो रहा है. नेगेटिविज्म घर पे मत लाइए प्लीज़. अच्छी बातें करिए, सच्ची बातें करिए, और कस्टमर ओरिएंटेड बातें करिए, ताकि वो पहले से ही सीख जाए कि भाई ये सब करना पड़ेगा और ये करना पड़ेगा तभी होगा. और ये नहीं कि आप जो भी फील्ड में जाओगे ये सारी चीज़ें करनी पड़ेगी, चाहे आप एक्टर बनो, डायरेक्टर बनो, या कंपनी के लिए काम करो, या कुछ भी करो, इन एनी फील्ड. सो देर इज़ नो ईजी वे आउट. You have to do that, and same is for your team members also, professionals also. Induction is not easy, and giving away the responsibility is not easy, the power and responsibility, but that is how you have to do it. Thank
I
you.
can see the time's up, yes. And chai ke business mein customer is important. The, you know, anybody selling the tea can become the top of the country also. So, especially in that. But something to take away, that our time's up, that everybody, wow, just give me 30 seconds. I need to wind up with senior guys here, right? So, relating to the India story, Viksit Bharat, that's the theme of today's GCCI conference, that we talk about Gateway to Viksit Bharat 2047. And what you three of you mentioned is resembling that we talk about a philosophy where we have everybody whom we do business as a family. So Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam continues at the level of the business also, and every SME has to understand that it's the relationship that making their company strong, even as much as the product and as much as and as SMEs and MSMEs, and Rajiv would agree, 25% of the GDP of the country is driven by SMEs, and 30% plus manufacturing happens. So SME is a very strong backbone of any country, and certainly for India also. So there is no reason that SMEs will flourish and then become the Wagh Bakris or the Jairaj or Vishaka group of the country. Yes, we have maybe the last word.
So yeah, so
we'll
last
wind
word
up before the bell rings again.
Yeah, so from me, Wagh Bakris always stands for Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. We believe in relationship, building relationship, not amongst only the equals but also the opposites, and trying to make the world a better place to live. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jigish bhai, Rajiv, Paras bhai, for insightful discussion. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, we wind up.
Thank you. It was truly very interactive and live session, I must say. Thank you, our all panelists, for your valuable time and valuable insights. And a special thanks to Mr. Moderator. This time I will only say Mr. Savan Godiawala. Congratulations and thank you for moderating this session successfully. Thank you once again. Ladies and gentlemen, the next generation entrepreneurs hold a significant importance in the business world. And our next session is with next generation entrepreneurs. And the theme for the session is Vision for a Viksit Bharat at 2047. I would request kindly get settled down so that we can move towards the next panel discussion. The next generation entrepreneurs bring innovation, drive economic growth, adapt to changing markets, and foster a dynamic and competitive business environment. And we are really happy to announce some names. We are happy to call upon the stage some young entrepreneurs who are going to be our panelists for the next session, which is on Vision for Viksit Bharat at 2047. We had two very important panel discussion sessions earlier, and we are moving forward towards the next session. The theme for the next session is Vision for Viksit Bharat 2047, and for that, I would like to call upon the stage the young team members, young entrepreneurs. Please put your hands together for Shri Soumya Engineer, Chief Executive Officer, Astral Adhesives and Paints. Our panelists, please welcome Shri Soumya Engineer, Shri Kalpit Gandhi, CFO and Non-Executive Independent Director, Vadilal Group, Shri Priyam Patel, Managing Director, NK Proteins Private Limited and MD of Tirupati Oils, Shri Shanay Shah, President, Shelby Hospital, Shri Akshat Doshi, Director of Vishakha Group, ભાઈ આપણા નેક્સ્ટ જનરેશનના આ યંગ ઓન્ટરપ્રિન્યોર્સ છે, એમનામાં એટલી બધી ઉર્જા છે, તો આપણે પણ એક ઉર્જા સાથે એમને આવકારીએ. ખૂબ તાળીઓ સાથે બધા જ આપણા જે પેનલિસ્ટ છે એમને આવકારીએ. થેન્ક યુ. And this session will be moderated by R.J. Dwanit. Please welcome Shri Dwanit Thakur. આપણી ટ્રેડિશન પ્રમાણે સૌને આપણે શરૂઆતમાં જ ફેલિસિટેટ કરીશું. We have with us Shri Soumya Engineer, Chief Executive Officer, Astral Adhesives and Paints. For his felicitation, I would like to invite Hemal Prajapati and Dr. Stuti Shah on the dais. GCCI Youth Wing Committee members Hemal Prajapati and Dr. Stuti Shah kindly come upon the stage for welcoming Shri Soumya Engineer, Chief Executive Officer, Astral Adhesives and Paints, with a memento. I would request Bhagwan Makwana and Harshil Khajanji to kindly come upon the stage. Bhagwan Makwana and Harshil Khajanji, they are also our GCCI Youth Wing Committee members. Requesting you to kindly felicitate Shri Kalpit Gandhi from Vadilal Group. Requesting Mrs. Prachi Patwari, Chairman Business Women Committee, GCCI, and Shalu Likhadia, Co-Chairman, BWC, to kindly come upon the stage and felicitate Shri Priyam Patel, Managing Director, NK Proteins Private Limited and Tirupati Oils. Please welcome him. I would like to call upon the stage Asha Vagasia, co-chair, and Gopi Trivedi, our knowledge series head, to kindly welcome and felicitate Shri Shanay Shah, President, Shelby Hospital. I would request Shri Birju Shah and Parth Desai to come upon the stage. Birju Shah and Parth Desai from Youth Wing Committee to welcome Shri Akshat Doshi, Director, Vishakha Group. And now I would like to request Mr. Jigesh Shah, Chairman, Press and Media Task Force, GCCI. Mr. Jigesh Shah. For felicitating the moderator, RJ Dwanit. Thank you once again. So don't waste our time. Over to you, RJ Dwanit.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. It's truly an honor to be here today, moderating this exciting panel discussion on the theme, Viksit Bharat 2047, envisioning a bold, inclusive, and sustainable India as we approach our centenary of independence. We are here today in this vibrant state of Gujarat, the land of opportunities, the land of Vatki Vyawar, the land of business, the land of inspiration, the land of spirituality, a land renowned for its entrepreneurial spirit and a significant contributor to India's growth, particularly economic growth. GCCI, it has played an instrumental role in empowering businesses and driving economic development in Gujarat. Their presence underscores the importance of regional strengths and collaborative efforts in achieving national goals. A huge round of applause for all the people who have tirelessly worked for this particular summit. Today, we are joined by a stellar group of next generation entrepreneurs who are not only taking their family legacies forward, but also are into innovating, transforming industries, and driving the idea of a developed India. So thank you so much, all the panelists. Let's explore how these dynamic leaders see the road to 2047 Viksit Bharat and the roles of their industries. How would they shape India as a developed nation? So format એવું રહેશે that I'll ask two open-ended questions and then એના પછીના segmentમાં industry-specific questions to each of you, right? So my first question to all of you is, looking at 2047 Viksit Bharat, what are the key transformations you envision for India that would define us as a developed nation? Tamara hisabe, in your own words, what is the idea of India? What is the idea of Viksit Bharat 2047 for you and your industry? Soumya bhai?
Good afternoon to all of you, and thank you for having me today in the Gate 2025 by GCCI. It is truly a vision by the whole GCCI to see a platform on renewable energy, green energy, sustainability, and one of my favorite subjects, which is IT and AI. So when we talk about Viksit Bharat 2047, the vision of our Prime Minister, and I feel that being a developed nation and, taking the, it's not just, increasing the, yes, of course, your GDP is going to increase, your per capita is going to increase, all of those things will increase. But if you truly understand Viksit Bharat and what it stands for, I think it talks about many subjects, including infrastructure, sports infrastructure, culture development of the nation, women empowerment. So if you see that, there's many aspects to being a developed society, and if we work holistically towards the nation of, being developed nation, then we need to think about sustainability towards our own organizations as well as the society, and what value we'll add as leaders for the generation or next generation, like we were talking, like what value we'll add for times to come, and then how do we portray industries and the organizations are going to look like in times to come. And with the increasing competition or, heavy scales of growth people have seen in last couple of years, how do we kind of keep a stable mind during that whole journey of development, but at the same time think about our country, our planet, and overall holistically the whole society.
So striking a balance. Kalpit, what does Viksit Bharat mean for Indian food industry? On a global stage, how do you look at India?
See, the way I see India evolved over the last 5 years especially, there is a huge section of India that is living a developed lifestyle. Right? I think about 10% of India is living a developed lifestyle. So for me, Viksit Bharat is about increasing the scale, speeding it up. How many people will be able to live this kind of a lifestyle by 2030, by 2040, by 2050, right? And with regards to the food industry also, we are seeing that, pre-2020, we were selling only 10 rupee, 20 rupee products, right? Now we are selling 40 rupee, 50 rupee products, which is a large portion. So that means that the consumer has become more discerning and he is making choices that are, that is higher quality or better ingredients, better packaging. So that is the output that we are seeing. Now, how fast will we see more and more people making those choices, right? And that is a component of our economy growing. Also, the service industry growing within India, because that is the main base. If people will only keep on working in manufacturing, then you know, always going to be pressure on salaries and those things. Whereas if people work on in the services industry, that will improve. So we are seeing a holistic growth in India, and it just has to be sped up now. That is how I am seeing it, especially with the new taxation schemes. Maybe Trump might help it also by reducing the import duties, by making it a more level playing field. So, you know, that will maybe, I think, help. Some industries might get disrupted, but overall, it will become a more level playing field for globalization, for us to sell our services around the world.
Well, level playing field. Akshat, will solar panels be seamlessly integrated by 2047? એક એવો સમય આવી જશે કે જ્યારે આપણે આપણા ફોનને આપણા હાથથી જ ચાર્જ કરી લઈશું, ટી-શર્ટથી ચાર્જ કરી લઈશું.
That's definitely a wish list, but I think much before that. For me, I mean, you know, one statement that I would wish to see India at 2047. I mean, I would of course say safe, secure, self-reliant, sustainably developed, and of course, happy nation, right? I mean, these are the 5 top priorities if you ask me personally, right? Now, what are we doing to kind of achieve that? Now, I come from a business sector which is, the philosophically is very opposite to what just Kalpit said, right? I mean, in FMCG, you want to kind of price up your product every year. The sector we come in is, the aim of the government is to get free electricity. So a large part of our group is focused on renewable energy. So for us, actually, all the targets are how do we keep on reducing our price. And but very interesting discussions, very interesting perceptions. Every industry has its own challenges and targets to achieve by 2047. But definitely, I mean, the 5 things that I said, I would really want to look forward for India to achieve that, for every citizen to kind of be really happy with all those 5 things that we have talked about. Yeah, I think it's as plain and simple as that.
The key word is happy nation.
Yeah.
And how do you actually measure happiness? It's very interesting the way you put it, and the decreasing prices you said, yeah. So maybe by 2047, renewable energy could be the new currency actually. If we just, you know, we'll just hypothetically we look at, how can energy be the currency?
You know, if you go back a little bit, we were paying very high for internet. You know, our per GB cost used to be 2,000 rupees and all. And now, in all practicality, it's free of cost, right? I foresee that going forward, renewable business is going to be very similar. It is going to be primarily, or at least I would wish it to be more of a subscription-based business where somebody is installing panels who has the capital to do it and somebody is using it. But it maybe not till the extreme level, but I think in the very few years, I definitely foresee that coming into that. Yeah.
Thank you. Priyam, 2047 સુધીમાં I think the age-old debate would come to an end that which oil is the healthiest? Or will it be a delicious mystery?
First of all, I'd like to congratulate the entire GCCI panel and all the members who worked so hard to make this successful. I hear from Asad, this is the first time it has happened in the 75 years of its existence. I hope it keeps happening again and again, and it gives, from what I hear from, even though it's the first day, whatever I heard from people, it's quite good reviews. So congratulations to the entire team for putting this forward. Coming back to Dwanit, on your question, I think the vision for 2047, I think there are different people with different visions. I would rather want a healthier India. What is healthy? What is health? Where does happiness come from? If you're healthy, you'll be happier. It is not going to be the best, but you're going to be happier. So health is one of the basic platforms on which all of these other needs can be taken care of. And I don't think it's just oil. See, India is divided into multiple parts. There is a major part of the population who is undernourished, and there's a small part of the nation who I jokingly say are overly nourished, who are looking to reduce oil, looking to reduce sugar, looking to reduce other diseases. So the main takeaway is, how do you explain to the customers, how do you explain to the nation what is good for them, why they should consume, not to be extreme as that, okay, I want to cut down on sugar, I'm not going to eat sugar at all, I'm not going to eat oil at all, I'm not going to do this, I'm going to stop wheat. How do you take everything into moderation and you create a healthy generation to come who can take this India forward? There is, see, we have the intellect, we have the manpower, we have the mindset, and we have a platform with the government like ours that we can go to the moon and back. That's the kind of a growth that I foresee in India. What China did in the last 3 decades, India is the next 3 decades is India's time. So to do that with a healthy set of customers is what my vision for India would be.
Very nice. So a healthy nation would be a happy nation. And healthcare would play a very important role. So in 2047, what do you think, Shanai? Will robots give us life advices? Or અત્યારે robotic surgery તો થાય છે, but there is a human hand behind it. So will that be completely out of the business and only robots will take over?
So first of all, thank you GCCI for having me here. It's very rare to see such a large event happening in Gujarat at such a scale. So a huge congratulations to entire committee. Talking of Viksit Bharat and then moving to healthcare, my friends on the dais have already painted a picture, but if I have to say, in my opinion, just to add to it, India is still a country with huge income disparity. So while we continue to have a higher GDP growth and we achieve our targets as a country for the GDP that we aim to have, that income disparity, having that lower is equally important in my opinion. So, and then of course, by default, the governance, sustainability, etc. will definitely come into play. Talking of healthcare, yes, these are the times for robotics and AI, but I feel that AI and robotics will not change medicine. I feel doctors who use AI and robotics will change medicine and will change the patient outcome. So the doctor aspect of medicine is still the most important aspect even today, and they will still be the center of the ecosystem after the patients. We are almost 22 years away. What we have achieved, we've come a long way already as a country. We export so many pharmaceutical products across the world. We are a net exporter of pharmaceutical products. On the other hand, we are a net importer of medical devices. Today, we import 80% of the medical devices that we use in India. So I see that as a very big opportunity that we will be able to drastically reduce the reliance on our imports in terms of medical devices if we are able to build the capabilities, the right capabilities in India. In terms of healthcare services, today, India has not even scratched the surface in terms of medical tourism coming into India. We've been doing it for a lot of years, for 2 decades, but countries in Southeast Asia like Singapore and Thailand are way ahead of us in the curve. So that again is a huge opportunity for us, to kind of bridge that gap in the years to come. So these are my 2 senses.
Nice. So I think my next question has changed now after listening to all of you. So Priya mentioned about China, you mentioned about Singapore and Thailand. All of you have been traveling across the world and trying to get the best practices to our nation in your own industries. What would be the top 3 priorities for us in next decade to move towards Viksit Bharat? But according to you, top 3 priorities ke jema you learn from the best practices. Which nation do you look forward to? What is that one thing which you think China did, you think US did, you think a small country like Singapore did, and they are where they are? So what are your learnings from already developed nations or maybe developing nations and their strategies? Yeah. Whoever wants to.
I as Shanai said that, with the growth of GDP and per capita, I think that's like the end result. Like that's the end thing which we see that, if we do all the steps, we'll reach there. But I feel that putting money behind infrastructure and the growth of infrastructure of India is very necessary, because that would strengthen our supply chains, that would make transport easy of products, bring down costs of transport. I think going behind the rural India, which actually holds lot of strength, is actually the backbone of India and is backed by the complete agricultural backbone which India holds. I think going there and working in rural India and making rural India more of, part of the growth journey as well, and not just, that's rural bit of India. And we can go there, we can set up education, we can set up internet, we can, there's lot of stuff which can be taken down the line to create that awareness. I personally feel that it's all about awareness and creating awareness in terms of, what we want to communicate as a country, or what we want to communicate as, next generation people. So I feel that, infrastructure, rural India, and more communication and creating that awareness into the depths of India in terms of making them aware that, this, like, we need to, I think that message needs to go into the depth of the country.
Accessibility is the word. Yes, please, Kalpit.
So infra obviously needs to be front-ended, like what we might need 10 years later needs to be made today. That is, I think, the most, what we have seen worldwide, especially you can see the Middle East, for example, or Singapore, or so they are a lot more aggressive in terms of investing in their facilities. So that needs to be a lot more aggressive in terms of our road infra, in terms of our institutions, in terms of the airports or the like. The other thing is, I think we've slowed down on the investment in education in our country. So that is, the government used to lead from the front, and now I think they've left it to a lot more to private. And the speed at which that is happening, obviously the accessibility also goes down if it's just private. So that is the other challenge I'm foreseeing. And the third is the healthcare and food standards especially, and that I think also has been left to the private companies to decide what kind of standards they want to achieve, right? So, one of the good things that has happened is that, a lot of the business families have built that knowledge and have done well over the years, and they have invested in improving the quality to achieve global standards or beat global standards. And that is happening, but that is just up to us, whereas the government standards, while being established, are not being applied. So that is something that the government needs to really invest in, is that in their own institutions and how they can institutionalize the application of their standards also.
Nice. So education would lead to innovation. So innovation, food standards, and healthcare.
So I think, I mean, not naming the country what has done what, but if you ask me, if we really want to achieve the 2047, I mean, of course, they've already laid out, a great points on what are required. But apart from that, I think additionally, what I would really want, certain changes, learning from other Western developed countries, is the government should actually incentivize the risk takers. If you see, a lot of our neighboring countries, the reason of growth is entrepreneurship has been praised. A lot of times, in a lot of countries, it feels that, risk takers are actually being bashed upon, right? So the first change that I would like to really see for us to grow is the attitude towards entrepreneurship. People need to be incentivized for taking risk. Second thing is, of course, connectivity. Infrastructure is very important. I mean, I was in a country a few weeks ago, and you see any mode of transport is available, and the factories are actually made near the river sides, because every river in the country is connected. So they can, even internally, domestically, they can send the goods from one state to the other on a ship in the river. Education, of course, already, they touched base upon. And ease of doing business. I think that's really something we all need to, and we as a company, I'm sure everybody over here, so it's not that others are not doing it. We have a software which is only taking care of the compliances, right? We have a software for every organization that tells us what are the dates of compliances. Why do we need it? Because there are like hundreds of compliances we need to follow every day, every week, every fortnight and all. So somewhere if these things are taken care for, the vision that all of us shared for 2047 doesn't really look very far-fetched. Yeah.
So the ease of doing business and the last mile connectivity. Nice.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
I think they've spoken most of the points. I would rather talk about the agri sector, which is, I think, India's agricultural country. And what is happening today is that the prices of the farmlands are becoming so high that the return of the crop that they're getting is in point decimals of whatever their yearly income is. Now to explain that to the next generation who is looking at all of these reels on Instagram and Snapchat, and they want to sell this land and they want to get rich immediately, is a challenge that we are going to have. How are you going to have food security? How are you going to keep self-sustainability in food, which is the government's vision? Secondly, with small farmers, small farmlands, it is very difficult to have better yields, very difficult to mechanicalize the entire process. We talk about countries like Brazil and Argentina. An average farmer has a farmland of 2,000 hectares. And here we are looking at 1 biga, 2 biga, usme bhi 4 bhai hai, unke 4 bete hai. Everyone is doing the same thing. So how do you do that? The government really needs to step up if we want to be self-reliant. And food security for a nation, be it anyone, it is one of the most important things. Now, any changes in the global tensions happening, any situations like COVID coming in, how do you sustain yourself? How do you keep your population fed? Without food, there is no use. So we need to really take care of the farmers. We need to take care of how do we encourage them to keep farming and to provide us with food, without which we would not be alive for the next 20 years.
Very nicely said. I have a question on that, but we'll ask you later. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think there are a couple of things. I think my friends already mentioned a couple of aspects, but I would like to say that each country, because you mentioned that what learnings can we take from other countries. I think each country is in a different situation, and we are facing unique problems in India. And I think the government of the day, the incumbent government, has identified these problems very accurately and made the policies based on that, and they are working on it. And of course, in a country like India, India is like an elephant. It takes time to move, but once it moves, you cannot stop it, right? So from that perspective, the policies are quite laid out. But in terms of healthcare specific challenges that we face, so skill is definitely one of them, because, and we've come up with a solution to that. So in our group, we now run something called Shall Be Academy, where we train thousands of nurses, paramedics, technicians, so that we can, kind of involve them in our facilities once they undergo their 3 to 6 months of training. This also helps a lot of the paramedical staff to go abroad, work abroad. So in general, skill development, I think, is extremely important. In the medical devices business that we run, we manufacture medical implants in the US. We have evaluated in the last couple of years if we want to bring and do a technology transfer, bring manufacturing in India over the long term. Again, building a factory and trying to get the machines is the easy job. Really, whether we are, kind of able to run a plant with the right people, with the right skill set is the biggest challenge for us. So, we have to get that right before we kind of take that step forward. So these are some of the challenges that we face, and of course, as I said, the government is working towards it, but we have our job as well, and our role to play as well along with the government.
So let's make this interesting. Let's say the government wants to make India a global leader in your respective fields. And if you have the mic right now in front of the PM, what is that one policy change that you would want to vouch for, you would want to request for, that this is what should be done in our industry? You have the microphone, you have the PM in front of you, now it's your time.
ગુજરાતીમાં કહું
હા હા
જાતે જ મહેનત કરીને મોટું કરવું પડે અમે તો તમને policies are there. I mean, building material space, people have grown a lot. I mean, last 10 years, 15, 20 years. So, but I would say if you want to be a global player, then you need to set the standards. Private institution as well as government institution, they need to work hand in hand in terms of creating standardization, in terms of the quality of the product, in terms of manufacturing process, in terms of following all the health and safety standards, pollution standards, all those standards. And if that increases, what happens is globally people see that, no, this everything is being met in terms of producing a product which is being then used by the people. It is, I think we need to raise those standards as manufacturers as well in terms of how we can create best quality products. So I think that's something the institution and the government needs to work hand in hand. But when I talk about, for example, Astral and ourselves, and if we want to be leaders, let's say in India and outside India, we need to invest more on, getting skill, getting the right kind of people in the organization. We need to strengthen our R&D. We need to, globally see what kind of applications are happening, globally see the construction trends of how the construction sectors are moving globally in terms of application of products. And I think once we notice that, we can then start taking what we have here globally, and Indians have brains. I mean, we know how to grow, we know how to develop, we know how to make products. It's just that we have not put too much effort in terms of exports. I'll talk about building material as per se, exports, but I see a lot of building material companies globally, and I see a lot of chemical companies in that which have taken their footprint across the globe. Now, if they can come and do business here, are they talking, and they're doing 1,000 crores, are they talking about policy and all? They're just coming and doing business. So you need to have that thing and just stop complaining and just do business, and then work hand in hand, of course, with government if there is any requirement in terms of standardization or product quality standardizations and all those things. So I think it's both the ways. I think it goes both the ways. But also we need to self-invest in our organizations continuously, not just CapExes, but human level.
So the human capital you would want to invest into. Yes.
So Dwanit, Priyam alluded to this, that we have too many farmers in India, right? And that I think is one of the biggest challenges to achieving quality output for us also, for dairy also. For example, America has only 10,000 dairy farms. That's it. All of America, which consumes 10 times more milk per capita than us, is being serviced by 10,000 dairy farmers. Whereas we will have, lakhs of dairy farmers, or maybe every village will have everyone who is having cattle for for rearing. So the challenge that we have is that our quality doesn't meet global standards. That is the biggest challenge, and we also don't have a demographic dividend there because our climatic conditions are not conducive to cattle rearing. Cattle do better in colder climates. So given that, I think if the government would want us to do a lot more of ice cream and dairy exports, then they should allow us to import free. Like, we are not allowed to import dairy at all. It is just not allowed. You would have to take permits, and it's very painful to do, to import for exports. So to meet those global standards, the only way is that the government opens this up. So that is also at the risk of protecting its farmers, and that's a trade-off that they might have to make eventually.
Very, very interesting.
I think, so see, us as Vishakha, a few years ago, my father, who's the chairman of the group, he had given a very clear mandate that whatever new business we are doing has to, some or the other way, be a part of sustainability. So even our packaging business, I mean, of course, I'm sure some might say, "Bhai, tum to plastic ka business karte ho," right? Now, but what we have to understand that there is no replacement of plastic as of today at the cost at which it is available. But what we did was we made the plastic sustainable, right? We got recyclable packaging materials, which can increase the shelf life. Then, of course, we do renewable energy components for all the renewable energy and all. But one is the government needs to really mandate for our industry to put in. The question that you asked, what do we need? We need a lot of capital, because see, this is infrastructure. At the end of the day, renewable energy or any kind of energy is infrastructure. So a lot of capital is required, and more than the capital, I think if the government lays out a next 10-year plan, if the government really lays out the next 10-year plan with a firm commitment that in the next 10 years, this is the amount of electricity that the state is going to purchase, this is the amount, and I'm sure this kind of predictability is something all of us want, right? I mean, I'm sure Astral also tomorrow would want ke atla buildings banwana hai, atli plumbing pipe ni requirement che, or XYZ things that, in the building materials that they're doing. Then I think India as a country, entrepreneurship is not a problem. And if the capital comes at the right cost and a clear mandate from the government comes in, that this is the roadmap for us to achieve in the next 10 years, I am very sure everybody sitting in the audience as well as on the dais will invest. They have the risk-taking appetite. So if this two clarity we have, additionally to the vision that all of us shared on ease of doing business and XYZ, I think, we just want the government to hear that out. Yeah,
why don't you talk about the glass manufacturing thing also that we just spoke about? The other countries, the kind of things that they are doing, and where do we stand and what do we need to do?
Yeah, so interesting story, I mean, what we shared. So, we were actually in the process of deciding glasses to be manufactured and all. And, my father actually, so ours is a joint venture, so my father was actually talking to our partner and he said, glass factory nakhwani hai. So he just committed, ke, nakhi deisu. And then we had to ask, kai glass factory nakhwani hai, right? So, I mean, that's the commitment levels that is actually, and it's a true story. He committed 1,000 crore of investment without actually knowing what's the end product of it. But then, of course, we evolved. So there was a very interesting discussion, and I think there's a big learning that has come out from that. When we set up the glass factory, we wanted to be very conservative. We said 300 ton per day is a good size to start with because we had no experience producing glass. So, we were working on that direction, and then we went to the board with both the partners sitting over there. And they said, China ma, what is the largest furnace? They said 1,000 TPD, 1,000 ton per day is the operational one, and the new ones that are being built is 1,400 and 1,600 ton per day. So they said 300 ton per day, to pachi nakhot nahi, because you are already behind the curve, and there's no point setting up a 300 ton per day because your cost dynamics is never going to match. So your new investment is 300 TPD, and the global benchmark is at 1,400 TPD. I mean, how do you match the cost? So it's a dead investment. So, of course, after too much of,
deliberations,
convincing and deliberations, I mean, we settled to start with that is 660. And the new furnace that we are setting up is at 1,260, which is the largest in the country across all glass industries, right? So, I think it's a very interesting understanding that that risk-taking appetite also kind of becomes very important. Yeah. And of course, I mean, we talked a lot on the AI stuff and as well.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah. Please, thanks.
Yes, Priyam.
The policy decision that
Yes,
we would want the government to take. I think adding on to what I'd said earlier to what the farmers, we need good farming, we need mechanical harvesting, all of these technologies, but we also need change in technology. So India is way behind in terms of genetically modified seeds, genetically modified foods. We are importing foods, we are importing parts of those foods which are already genetically modified. We are allowing it in some industries, we're not allowing it in some industries. So specifically, if I talk about the edible oil industry, we need to allow more of GM seeds in mustard, in soy, which have a yield 6 to 7 times higher than what we are actually achieving. Cotton, if I talk about BT cotton, we are on generation first or second. The world is on generation fifth and sixth. The yield is 3 times higher. So how do you convince the customers that you're more competitive? Because first of all, your yield of the country is only so low. How can you be competitive in the world? And if you want to be the number one in the world, you need to adapt to whatever the best practices the rest of the world is doing. So we should implement modified seeds to increase the yield. The more the yield will be there, the more we'll be self-sufficient. And also we will be able to export as well. I don't see India as a very good coastline. We can also, which we have started doing plantations of palm, which can be used in industrial products. So that is also happening. So these are 2-3 things that the government, I think palm the government is already doing. So only on the seed front, if we do that, we will be able to provide good food, good quality food for healthier India. Palm will not be able to make a healthier India. We'll have to make a healthier India through quality seeds, mustard, sunflower oil, soybean oil. These are all the oils which will actually add value. Cottonseed oil.
So, but there is a movement for non-GMO, and genetically modified food will impact the healthcare. Would it or not, is the question.
So I would answer the question in two parts in terms of the policy making. One is that if you look at the purchasing power parity of India, real estate is the most expensive in India compared to any other country. So there are pockets in Mumbai, pockets in Delhi, and some other cities which are more expensive than a town or a city in the US. And at the same time, so if I look at my balance sheet today, out of every 100 rupees invested in a hospital, 50 rupees are spent on land, right? So if we want more investments, we need more investments in hospitals. We want more hospitals to come up. We have one of the lowest ratios of number of beds to the population, number of nurses to the population, number of doctors to the population. And if we want more investments to come in, I would say an entrepreneur can run 2 hospitals instead of 1 if land is provided at a subsidized cost to him, right? So this is one area I feel where, you know, a lot can be done. The second area is really the fact that, you know, if there is a consistent policy, and, you know, often there are different kind of regulations that come in terms of price caps, etc. So what happens is when somebody, if I'm an outsider and I'm looking to take a plunge in the hospital business, and if I see that, you know, the policy keeps flip-flopping a little bit, then that acts as a deterrent for me. So, you know, having a stable policy in terms of the pricing, etc., would really help, because that would help investors, number one. Number two, it would also help people to get into this profession, right? Because we need people, okay? In a 150, 200 bed hospital, there are 800 people working, right? So it is definitely a creator of massive jobs, number one. These are middle class jobs, and 70% of these are women, right?
Very, very, very interesting. The last point that you just mentioned. Now, industry-specific questions. So we'll talk about Astral, Soumya, your company, your industry, and the vision. So we'll talk about urbanization, sustainable infrastructure, green buildings, smart cities, and role of Indian manufacturing sector. A small segment for all of you. Imagine it's 2047 already. You walk into a typical Indian home. What's that one thing you think will definitely look or feel different because of the innovations of your company or maybe your contemporaries or your industry?
I think how much the use of adhesives and sealants will be made in next, I mean, forget 2047, but in next 4 to 5 years, how much construction chemical adhesives and sealants are going to be used in India is going to be massive. Because we are still learning the usage of these products, what these products can do, and more awareness we create for these products, the application is huge. Like they say that, you know, for years past, it was the age of nail. Now it's the age of adhesives we have entered. So I think the the speed of construction, the build of construction, the application of, you know, stuff that can be used inside a house in terms of aesthetics, in terms of the quality of the construction, everything will change because I mean, there's so much stuff you can do. And, you know, with the same thing, you know, our plumbing sector, which we have grown from, the way, you know, I mean, our CPVC pipes, we have revolutionized the steel GI market.
Certainly.
I'm sure that, you know, we are all together working on newer applications in terms of how we can, you know, there's noise-free drainage system which we have, which, you know, if you flush a toilet, there's no sound, like there's noise insulated pipes. There's, you know, so much innovation is happening in terms of plumbing as well. And I mean, when we talk about adhesives and paints, I would say that, you know, there will be paints. I mean, there are people already working on nano paints. There's people working on higher warranty paints. There are people working on new texture paints. There are people working on bringing down the costs of the paint, you know. So there's so much stuff happening in the industry in terms of different application, different stuff that it's amazing. Like what 10 years, it's been for me 10 years working in the company with my family and the whole staff. So in 10 years also we can see that there's such a shift happening in terms of application of adhesives and sealants in the Indian market. And the market is still, if you compare the piping market would be close to 35,000 crores. Paint market would be close to 80,000 crores in India as of now. Adhesive and sealant market is still 10,000 crores. So there's so much application which awareness, educating the public in general, and, you know, bringing that to the ground will definitely change in terms of how, you know, we build our homes, how we do our interiors, how we do our furnitures, how we do our aesthetics in the house. Everything will change. You will have, I mean, we are working on certain adhesives and sealants right now which match your paint colors, which match your furniture colors. So there's like a seamless connect you can feel inside an house. So it's like so much innovation and so much stuff will happen as time goes by. It's wonderful. Yeah.
But see, adhesive and coatings are very technical for a layperson and a very low engagement products as of now for consumers. So how do you build brand love for this category?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely, you know, a tough field to be in, because with every adhesive or every sealant, the application changes. So I would have like 10 grades of sealants used in 10 different applications. And I would have 20 different chemistries of adhesives used for 20 different things. So now when we talk about piping or when we talk about plumbing, it's either fresh water supply or sewage supply. So it's very fairly simple. So it's definitely a challenge. I would say that, but it's fun. I mean, I would say that, you know, globally, there are such big adhesive and chemical players out there who have done wonders in terms of application and in terms of taking the businesses to the next level. So, I mean, it's just effort and just going at it. And, you know, end of the day, I mean, I always tell my team and tell my team and everyone that it's constant. You're giving back to India, like you're giving back new age adhesives and new age applications back to the Indian economy. So that's what fuels us.
All right. So, Kalpit, questions for you. You know, Vadilal is a household name across generations, but with Gen Z and now the Gen Alpha entering the scene, how do you reimagine the whole ice cream experience for India?
So India is already making that choice, right, with regards to how they want to consume ice cream. It's never been a better time as a consumer, right? You can have ice cream at your doorsteps, any ice cream you want at your doorsteps in 10 minutes now with the advent of quick commerce. Something that is made in some corner of the country is now becoming available here in our city. Um so, the consumer is spoiled for choice. Uh, his disposable income has gone up, so he's not bothered spending 100 rupees on an ice cream, which earlier was a challenge for him. So now the question obviously for Vadilal is that how do we uh, sell these desires of the consumer, right? We are a legacy brand, and how do we keep on appealing to a consumer? And eventually, I think eventually it's more to do with the how the product is designed and how it tastes, right? You could have functional benefits like there are low calorie ice creams and there are, but then that is the job of separate brands, right? You cannot be something for everyone. That is that is impossible to do. Uh, for us, we are at a very nice sweet spot where the innovation pipeline is very strong, the supply pipeline is very strong. Uh, Akshat is doing an excellent job electrifying the country, and making that available to people. That is also very important to not just electrify, but to increase the consumption of electricity and keeping the cost in control. So that is equally more important, and that is a demographic dividend that we are now getting, where all the states are putting in an effort to electrify their states properly, to be paying the electricity bills on time for that state. Um, and our job is to make sure that we are, there is, as the summer happens, right, there is, as it is a big need to consume things that, cool you down, and ice cream is top of mind. And at that time, you have to have that supply pipeline ready, and you have to supply. So some places there is people who are making choices, and but consumers have showered us with a lot of love, on platforms like your quick commerce and your Zomatos. People are making choices. People are buying our products also, right? Despite other products being available. So that is, there is that discerning. People know what they are buying.
But FMCG sector ની આપણે વાત કરીએ, particularly, I'll have to rush a bit.
Yeah.
So rural development માટે અને rural employment માટે, particularly supply chains માં, and creating employment generation for rural India. How do you see FMCG sector contributing to this?
See, we have historically been very rural in our business. Our ice creams have always been available in most of the small towns, be it Uttar Pradesh or Gujarat or Rajasthan. Our objective always has been to reach, all the corners of the country. And I have had friends who have come and told me that, I didn't see a good quality water brand at the retail outlet in that, in that village I had gone for that darshan. But I saw your ice cream, so we chose to have ice cream and not water, right? So these are the experiences that we've had. So we've been at the forefront of, we have distributors and retailers who are already very well engaged with us and who are growing their businesses with us.
That's nice. Akshat, energy independence for India. How close are we really to making solar the backbone of India's energy future? And what role will renewable energy play in achieving carbon neutral India by 2047?
So I think one thing we all might agree that carbon neutral is not a choice, it's a necessity. So I think that point is very, very clear where we need to be. I think 2047 would also be a very late target to be carbon neutral. We might have to be much before that. And to reach that, of course, renewable source of energy and sustainable source of energy is the most important part. Specifically for, so one is the role that this energy is going to play. I think it's a very clear roadmap on where we are to, how much time is it going to take. I think we are still very, very far away from reaching that. Though India is primarily the second fastest country who's been deploying renewable energy after China. But I think still that, though being second fastest globally, is still too slow for the actual need for the global world. How do we do that? Now, coming to that is today, and I also see a lot of government's intent in that, with the PLI schemes coming in and the boost in the manufacturing part. We are seeing immense amount of investments being done in the renewable energy sector in terms of developing the whole ecosystem, right? I think because some of my friends on the stage are facing challenges of supply chain, opening up of imports or exports and all. Fortunately, what the Indian government has done is that they are very clear that the complete ecosystem for every component, whether it is wind, solar, going forward probably even nuclear energy. But I will restrict myself to solar because that's really what I know about. The intent is very clear that every smallest of the component needs to be manufactured in India. So it will take some time to achieve our targets, but I think we are doing it the most sustainable way, creating jobs while achieving our renewable energy goal. Yeah.
So what could be that moonlight innovation? What could be that one breakthrough you think that, maybe it could be slightly futuristic also, that you think can redefine the energy scene in India?
Energy is actually very simple. We have just complicated it. It's actually very simple. Energy is the basic need. I mean, everything that requires energy, that will redefine the other things, right? So our job is just to kind of give the energy in the simplest of the form. And after that, it's where. But what do I feel will probably change over the period of time is the cost structure of creating it. And today, the solar panels that we are looking at or the windmills that we are looking at will probably not look this ugly. It will kind of start looking very smart. It will kind of be like more of a jewel in a desert. You would like to go and see it. And we are actually seeing tourism on going and seeing, I mean, there have been so many people who have been to Khavda and then said, okay, wow, it's a marvel to just go and see that, right? So I think energy will become lucrative in terms of looks, in terms of utilization, and in terms of cost.
Yeah. Thank you. Priyam, so certainly, give me 5 minutes. Food security is national security. So in your view, what does self-reliance in essentials like edible oils actually look like by 2047? How can India become self-reliant in essential food products?
I think I've already shed light on it, but to be a spoiled sport, I don't think it is practically possible for India to be. So we will have to understand that the population that we are at and the land area that we are having, and with the different amount of food products that needs to be there. And with the current setup, it is impossible. Maybe if we do changes, it will be next to impossible. It wouldn't be impossible.
Edible oils are a fundamental part of our food system. So there is always a tension between affordability and nutrition. So can we realistically deliver both to 1 billion plus people, and how?
Affordability, if we talk about 10 years back, petrol, diesel was half the price. Oil is still the same price, and still people are talking about expensive oil. So I think we live in a country where some of the things are highlighted extremely and some things are not. So we can't do anything about it. I think the overall inflation is increased, the spending power is increased, and nutrition-wise, we have to change the products that we are marketing to people. We are dependent on 70% of palm oil. What that is doing to our country is something we cannot imagine now. I think Shani will have a lot of clients coming in the next few years the way palm oil has opened up. So we need to actually sit down and think, what do we want to feed our country? What is it that we are looking at? And how can we make a healthier India in the next 10 to 20 years is completely dependent on us. And we as a company, I know the government has its handfuls. They can't do everything. We as a company are innovating all the food products that we are doing. We are making sure that we are doing our bit to make them a little bit healthier. How do we, in our own way, I cannot take the burden of the entire nation. The government is doing its job. Obviously, they can't do everything, but as a company, we are doing our bit of improving the health of the country and giving them resources of oil which are healthier for them, because food is an indulgence. Eventually, you don't eat ice cream to be healthy, you don't eat fried food to be healthy, you don't do a lot of things to be healthy, you're just doing it for indulgence. So when you're talking about indulgence, nutrition is there, but then indulgence is indulgence. And we have to take it like that, not make a big fuss about it.
2047 में वाडीलाल will come up with ashwagandha ice cream. I'm telling you. Shanay, how can India balance affordability and innovation in healthcare? And then the next question would be about AI and technology. 2 questions.
So I think if you talk about universal healthcare, the government has already made its moves in terms of coming up with the Ayushman Bharat scheme. So how Shelby is participating is that, you know, there are some hospitals in our network of 16 hospitals where we take up, you know, these government schemes, and we are playing a role by treating these patients, right? In terms of insurance penetration, the private insurance penetration, we are already growing it at about 13 to 15% per annum, right? So that is definitely going to help and reduce the kind of disease burden that we have. But I would say, I would put it in a different way. The way, you know, the way we are, Shelby is now working on two different things. One is on, I would say, the preventive care, right? How can everyone over the age of 30 undergo a health checkup every year? Because, see, once something gets caught early, it's cheaper to resolve it, and the stress on the patient and the family members is a lot lesser. So very important that we do it ahead of the curve. The other thing I envision is that, you know, the Shelby of tomorrow will be a hospital without walls. Because, you know, because of AI, because of technology, I'm sorry if I'm answering your second question already, but I would say, you know, with the AI, with technology, we can do remote monitoring of patients from their houses. We can do telemedicine. All of these things will play a big role. We already are doing, as a, I'm sure a lot of people in the audience might have heard, we are already doing Shelby Home Care, where we give home care treatment of different sorts to the patient. So we are already on the path to achieve that, and we hopefully will get there at some point of time.
Thank you. You answered both the questions, actually. So thank you to each of the panelists for sharing the insights and vision for a developed India, from healthcare to food to renewable energy and infrastructure. It's clear that the journey to Viksit Bharat. Do you want the audience to ask the questions? I don't mind. I just thought that we don't have much time. Yes, certainly. I have a lot of other questions also. Yes, please go ahead. Yes, I'll help you.
ફર્સ્ટ ઓફ ઓલ, હું સ્ટેપ ડાઉન થયો ને ત્યારે મને ચિંતા હતી મારા ધંધાની. એટલે હું અહીંયા નીચે બેસીને બોલું છું. કારણ કે ટુડે વેન આઈ સી ધ યંગ પીપલ delivering the things to the depth of the content of the knowledge. I know Akshat, I know Sanay, I know Priyam, but first time I think I meet two other young chap. I think Sandeepai, I think this is the Viksit Bharat. And I don't have any doubt the future of GCCI. I think what we did and what I see today, I think after 10 years we will have a great future. Sandeep, thank you very much, and sorry that today in the morning I was not able to join this function due to my pre-engagement at my college, but I missed a lot. Thank you.
તમને યાદ હોય તો આપણે છેલ્લે એક પેનલ ડિસ્કશન મેં હોસ્ટ કર્યું હતું જેમાં ફર્સ્ટ જનરેશન એન્ટરપ્રેન્યોર્સ સાથે જ ડિસ્કશન હતું, ઇફ યુ રિમેમ્બર, એન્ડ ધેર યુ expressed a lot of concerns, and now you are satisfied with their do you remember, if there was anybody in the audience, do you remember? That was a different discussion altogether, but today we had a very, very insightful session, and I am really, really happy with what you've shared. You know, I also did not anticipate so much of in-depth conversation. I think we would have had more time, it would have been more fruitful. એવું મને લાગે છે. But whatever time we had a great discussion and a great chemistry. તમારા બધાની એકબીજાની સાથે સ્કૂલ ડેઝથી ઘણા બધા લોકોની રહી છે. So as we close, let's remember that the future is not just something that we await. It is something we build together. And as young leaders like you at the helm, the vision of progressive, inclusive, and a globally competitive Bharat looks very promising. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining. Thank you so much for giving me this wonderful opportunity to interact with all of you. Thank you. Jai Hind. Thank you.
Thank you, Dwanit, and thank you all the panelists. It was really very interesting session, and I could watch that the earlier generation sitting in front of the stage had a unique spark in their eyes, and I think what Mr. Natubhai Patel said is absolutely truth. So thank you once again all our young entrepreneurs for sharing your ideas, your views, and your perceptions about the nation's development, as well as your views for your own sector. Thank you once again. So ladies and gentlemen, now we have reached to the last session of this day, and for that I would like to invite on the dais Shri Manish Maharaj, General Manager, Arise LLP. A special segment on the African opportunities turning potential into profit, and Mr. Manish Maharaj, General Manager of Arise LLP, he will share his presentation on the same. I would like to hello everyone. So can we move forward to the next session, please? So we have on stage Mr. Manish Maharaj. Please give a big round of applause for Mr. Manish Maharaj, who is going to talk on the African opportunities turning potential into profit. Over to you, sir.
It's actually quite a transition from Viksit Bharat to emerging Africa. I'm Manish. I work for Arise as a General Manager, and I'm here to talk about opportunities, what African continent offers, and how the potential can be converted into profit. Before I move forward, I would like to give you a small glimpse of Africa opportunities and what actually Arise is doing in Africa. It's a small video.
Is emerging.
I'm really proud of what is happening right now.
As nations flourish, fueled by their own natural riches.
Dans l'agriculture, je vais toucher les produits de mon champ et manger, et faire vivre ma petite famille.
And setting new standards for progress.
Je veux montrer au monde que le Gabon est capable de faire beaucoup de choses.
Across Africa, Arise IIP's special economic zones have attracted more than 400 companies who have invested over $5 billion across diverse manufacturing sectors. by transforming raw materials locally and substituting imports. Arise is helping to boost economies and transform the lives of thousands. In Benin, the Glo Jibe Industrial Zone has created more than 10,000 jobs since 2020. It is transforming local cashew nuts for export to countries such as the USA, Europe, and Saudi Arabia. And at its textile facilities, employees like Kabirat are manufacturing high-quality garments for Kiabi, US Polo, and other American and European brands.
Since I've been working here, I learned a lot. I have a lot of stories of people who were just at home not doing anything for years, and they have their families there to take care of. But this was a great opportunity for them, knowing that my country is also making its own garment and it is written on it, made in Benin, is something to be really proud of.
In neighboring Togo, Platform Industrial Daditikope is producing local soya products that are being exported globally, benefiting Togolese farmers like Edo by providing a steady market to sell their raw materials.
Le processus de la semis de soja biologique, de la semis à la récolte, c'est un peu vaste. Les techniciens sont tous les jours dans le champ avec nous. C'est le rôle de PIA. Les agrégateurs et les techniciens sont nos membres pivots pour la récolte, pour la réussite.
Across the Gulf of Guinea, the Gabon Special Economic Zone is the world's 6th largest exporter of tropical veneer, processing over 1 million cubic meters of timber each year. In 2020, it launched the COMEL program, aimed at training local women like Fatou in operating heavy machinery.
L'initiative COMEL a été pour moi une aubaine. Cela a permis de répondre à cette demande qui était forte croissante, des femmes qui aimeraient bien, qui ont bien voulu se lancer dans les métiers d'hommes mais qui n'avaient pas l'opportunité de le faire.
Backed by world-class shareholders, Africa Finance Corporation, Afrexim Bank, and Equitin Group, Arise is unlocking new opportunities and transforming lives across Africa. 10 years ago, we promised change. Today, that is a reality. Let's continue shaping a better tomorrow together.
So what is Africa? Africa is actually 54 countries. We generally confuse having one perception about Africa. It's a population of 1.2 billion, which is with 500 million population of working population. The current GDP is $3 trillion and expected to rise to $5 trillion by 2030. When it comes to political and financial stability, that's a major concern in India. However, there are a lot of governments which are of progressive mindset. There is a vision of 2063 where Africa wants to move away from being exploited as a country with a lot of raw material to be completely industrialized. It's rich in natural resources and the connectivity is also growing by every passing day. 60% of world uncultivated arable land is in Africa. And the access to global markets like US and Europe is very convenient. It's rich in agro commodities. I would just not want to take this in detail. Rich in natural resources. Africa imports around $700 billion of goods, out of which $50 billion is only about food. And from India, India actually exports $50 billion annually of products. Pharmaceutical, rice, iron and steel, textile, and plastics are some key goods what we export to Africa. Opportunities are more than 500. In food processing, textile, wood and timber, pharmaceutical, light manufacturing, consumer products, and waste recycling. The recent tariff rate has been quite a conversation. Now, Africa is actually spared because of AGOA. AGOA is nothing but a benefit which has been extended by US. It's a duty-free. It's duty-free for all the African nation, and it's called African Growth and Opportunity Act. African nation is in talks to extend this till 2041. Labor, when we discuss labor, it's one of the most cheapest labor what we can find in Africa. Proximity to US and Europe is an added advantage. Logistic and infrastructure, of course, Arise is doing it. Let me talk a little bit about Arise as a group. Who are we and what are we doing? Arise is actually invested in Africa with 3 verticals of businesses. We are building ports and logistics in Africa. We also develop special industrial parks and SEZs. We also do infrastructure, roads and railway networks. So if you see, our journey with Africa has been of over 14 years, and we are totally invested in making Africa become industrialized. How do we do this? We work very closely with the government in all our zones. There is a government partnership which ranges from 15% to 35%. We work with local farmers to procure raw material. We work with our investor, and of course, it's our design capability which has evolved in last 14 years. Currently, we are there in 14 countries. Starting from Western Africa to Central Africa, and then in Eastern Africa. 80% of Eastern African business is actually done by Gujaratis. And Gujarat is actually a very important market for us. How do we do this? We can be a one-stop solution for any manufacturers who wants to set up their factory in Africa, right from identifying an optimal location, raw material, policy framework, funding, everything what a business requires, Arise is capable and has been doing. The infrastructure support what we offer to all our investors in our zones are like warehousing, commercial zones, container yards, residential zones, truck parking. Electricity is a big concern in Africa. So, a lot of investors who are basically out of SEZ currently, they are shifting in SEZ because in most of the countries, the electricity is around 20 hours or 18 hours, and rest of the hours has to be on generator. However, we assure 24/7 electricity, which helps them. We also procure raw material and supply to the doorstep of our investors. We facilitate a single window clearance in all our zones. So nobody has to actually, there is no hassle with regards to any sort of a clearance. We have 2 skill centers with regards to textiles. Today, we have a textile unit in Benin, and we have reached to an efficiency level of 60%. This journey has been of 2 years. There are certain benefits what we have negotiated with the government right before actually starting our business in that country. No export duty to US and Europe. Of course, it's under AGOA benefit. No import duties on raw material and machinery. No corporate tax and dividend tax in our SEZs. Exemption of business license tax. Exemption on land tax and other benefits. In terms of cost benefit, low cost labor, economical lands, tariff subsidies, close to highway and ports, all our zones are within a limit of 25 to 30 kilometers of ports. And all the clearances with regards to port is done inside our zones. So the waiting time at ports cuts down by a week to 10 days. These are some brands what we have built of our own over a period of 14 years. We are into textile, agro-processing, timber and meat. Textile, we have a unit in Benin. Agro-processing, we have a unit in Togo where we do kaju. Timber is largely in Gabon. Gabon was our story, our success story from where we started actually. And of course, meat in Chad. The impact what Arise has been able to bring is $7 billion worth of investment in Africa. More than 400 companies from 19 nationalities and from 47 different industries. I just spoke about soya, textile and timber. These are opportunities which are available in our zones and we are ready to, we will welcome participants to come to our booth. We will be able to explain each and every opportunity which exists. Thank you very much. I was given just 15 minutes and I was just not sure how to cover the entire Africa in 15 minutes. However, we are open and we would like a lot of you to come and have a discussion with us. I'm sure we will be of help. We are proud to be calling ourselves one single stop for any investment what you want to do in Africa. As is, you know, the next 20 years, 2 decades, we will see a lot of manufacturing happening in Africa thanks to Trump and the recent tariff war. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, sir, for this wonderful presentation. I would request you to kindly be on stage only, please. And I would like to invite Mr. Priyank Shah, Chairman, Startup Committee. To present a memento to Shri Manish Maharaj as a token of our love and gratitude. We appreciate your presence, sir. Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, we had the engaging sessions today, and here we come to the end of this seminar. Tomorrow also, we are having some interesting sessions. We'll have fireside chat on sustainability, and we'll have Ms. Dia Mirza with us tomorrow. Also, tomorrow we will have Mr. Sandeep Patel, Managing Director of IBM India, as a keynote speaker, and he will give his address on Vision 2047 IT perspective. Also, we will have one panel discussion on recipe for successful digital transformation. So once again, I sincerely thank each one present here for your gracious time and for your active participation. Once again, thank you one and all. And also, all of you are invited for tomorrow's session. Thank you once again. Namaskar.